Everybody, welcome to Off the Rack. I'm Sal.
And I'm Tiffany. That wasn't fair.
You said you were ready.
I know, but you didn't really. Oh, no.
Woo. Anyway, this is a comic book review show where we talk about comic books that came out the past week. We recap and review them, tell you what we thought about them, and then recommend comics that are coming out this week that we think you should check out. We also have a special segment called Book of the Week, where we pick the book called Helen of Wyndhorn or Hellblazer that we like best out of the week.
You don't know.
And we determine which one is the best between the two of us. Obviously, you have yours, I have mine, and we'll get into it.
You don't know what my book
We also talk about comic book news. I'm excited about that. So there's some comic book movie related news that we need to get to at the top of the show.
Let's do it.
Two things before that. We want to mention the show are sponsored by viewers like you. Last week, we did a little bit of a promotional thing with Dynamite Entertainment. I want to thank them for letting us be a part of that. No pay for that. That was just a promo because I like promoting comics. And I think that if we can get like comics in the hands of people who watch comic book YouTube, that's the goal, right?
Yeah,
that's the success, and that's the most important thing. So we want to mention that this show is still sponsored by viewers like you. If you watch the show live, you can sponsor today's show using a question or comment we'll read here on the show, and it'll be part of the show forever. And that will go into the infrastructure. In fact, it'll go specifically towards some purchases of important and much needed equipment that we did not plan on needing to replace. For example, key camera equipment. When we were shooting back issues this past week, turn on the camera, boom, our HCX 1000 from Panasonic just crapped the bed. Just turned it on. It was blurry. We looked it up. It was just, it's an issue that will cost hundreds of dollars to fix if it can be fixed at all. It's also impossible to like send the camera anywhere. We got to like contact Panasonic. No camera shops do repairs. Thankfully, we do okay. It's like we do this professionally. We're not stupid. I have money set aside.
Yeah,
we bought a new camera.
That doesn't mean we wanted to do it.
Oh, I didn't want
it.
It
didn't hurt.
Yeah, it wasn't like, oh yeah, no, I just have money to burn, so like threw it.
No, it was just like, we had to make choices.
No, if I did, I would have bought 3 of the new camera we bought because I've always wanted to shoot back issues with 3 camera angles.
I know, and then you don't want to edit them though.
Well, no, if I had all 3 angles using the camcorder, it would be great because then I would only have 3 clips. The problem is shooting with 3 different SLRs that are categorized as point and shoot, so they don't shoot long enough. The thing is, if you shoot on an SLR, it only shoots up to like 30 minutes or less of video, and then you have to and then it just automatically turns off. This is a built-in defect that SLRs have. They could shoot continuously. They don't for reasons that are financial related. So anyway, we ended up shooting not this week's back issues, but next week's back issues on an SLR like we used to in the comic book store back in the day.
A little throwback.
Yeah, we actually were, when we were shooting on the SLR, it used to shoot, again, in like 20-minute intervals. And it's not like I got more verbose as the show went on. So what we'd have to do is we'd have to keep getting up and hitting record again and again and again. And one of those investments we made back in the day was getting a little like remote control that connected with the SLR and allowed us to tell it to keep recording while we were seated, which caused its own troubles as well, because of course you think you hit it and then it didn't, and then you just lose 20 minutes of an entire episode, which is how our original episode of The Dark Knight Strikes Again turned out, by the way. But we ended up shooting the show like that. We ended up digging up the old remote. We got that going. We cannibalized one of the batteries from our color spotlights there. Worked together, came together. Felt like old school comic pop. We were like, oh no, what are we going to do? We're all here. We got to shoot.
Yeah, I came by to help.
Get the SLR, set it up, got the little remote, set that up. We have good audio, except for the fact that it was 100 degrees in the office, so we had to keep the air conditioner on. So it will sound a little janky as opposed to what it used to.
Like
it's going to be really old. Yeah, the white balance is all off. It's going to be really, really weird. People are going to be like, what the hell?
That's a long way of saying that your super chats today will be
helping me.
You know exactly what you're funding.
Yeah, you will know directly. In fact, we're actually
that or a new screen.
Yeah, or a new screen door, because we talked a little bit about how at home our screen door was attacked by a deer not too long ago. Ripley was at the screen door because, there's some fresh air there, and we thought the screen door was protecting them from the elements.
It's been there forever.
And then this mother deer came by and just bashed the screen door in with her head.
Yeah.
And then we scared her away.
Everybody
was fine.
We're good.
Yep, but then it turns out Ripley knows how to open the screen door, so
we found out.
She did that today and then left.
And she left. We have her back.
Yep.
She came back on her own.
Yeah.
She released herself and her big sister I went and retrieved her big sister. I walked in on her coming back in.
Yep.
And yeah.
Yeah. So we're
guys. It's been a day.
Yeah. And it sucks because today was like a gorgeous day for a screen door.
Such a gorgeous day. That door can never open again.
No, now we can never do that.
Forever.
We can't trust it.
I can't.
We were home too.
I was home. I literally walked in and Ripley was walking back in the house like, oh, hello. I'm like,
I know.
Yeah, I am beside myself.
It's true. It's true.
I am beside myself.
Yeah.
Luckily, we do take them out on harnesses.
We do. So they were conditioned to be outside.
Like home.
Yeah, she knew where home was. It wasn't like she was just
scary,
out
which was like instantaneously it got scary.
Yeah.
Ripley does as she pleases, 100%.
It's true. It's very true. It's too true. But yeah, so in the world of comic book news, there was an article that came out recently that I wanted to bring up only because it was kind of funny. Because obviously in the wake of James Gunn's takeover of DC movies, there's been a very blurred line between the movies and the comics in a very productive and nice way. It's the only way I can put it. Gunn has been just really hyping up the comics that are going to be used as material for the movies. You could see like Tom King is integrally involved in the production of DC itself, rumored to be working on officially announced to be working on the Lanterns show along with Damon Lindelof and so forth. But also I would assume, and I don't know this to be true because we don't talk, King and I, about movies. We talk about movies we've seen, but not movies we're working on. I think it's only a courtesy that I not share what I'm working on in the movie industry, and he doesn't do the same. But as a result, I have no idea, but I should assume that King gives his recommendations, but more importantly, Gunn is a comic book fan and loves the DC universe and has his own interests. And you can see like All-Star Superman was evoked, and a lot of other different comics. And so you would assume, oh, this is like a new era for comic book superhero movies. People are talking about how one of my main criticisms of the MCU has been this kind of like this divide between the comics and the movies. Not to say I don't like that, not to say I'm suddenly in favor of comic book movie synergy, but I am in favor of like larger platforms helping to boost up the smaller platforms. Comic book movies help to rise the boats of the comic book industry, or at least that's what the comic book industry would like. And one of those ways of doing it is by saying, hey, the thing you like that you spent $25 with a date to go see in the theater that made $1 billion 4 years ago, yeah, that was actually from a comic book that you could get that is bigger and more ridiculous and probably better written than anything you saw on the screen, and it's available in your local comic book store. I assume that based on the fact that Gunn is doing all these things, we saw that apparently Marvel Studios and Marvel Comics are now working, quote, much more closely this year to get MCU fans into comic book stores, according to the publisher Dan Buckley. If that's true or not, obviously a couple of years ago, more than a couple of years ago, Kevin Feige was named COO or Chief Creative Officer of Marvel Comics, replacing Joe Quesada, and doing nothing in that role, presumably, except for making sure that Kamala Khan died, allegedly. But yeah, I like the idea of like Marvel, obviously not like this is new information for them, but for whatever reason they're deciding, oh, we're going to start helping to get people into the comic book stores, or at least get comic books into the hands of people who like Marvel products. Gee whiz, what a great idea. If only we'd been begging you to do that for the last however long I've been alive. But hey, James Gunn is like walking around with a comic book under his arm. People are like, oh, that's a neat idea. Maybe we should have been doing that the whole time. Like maybe it would be better than just one selfie that Benedict Cumberbatch had of the Oath.
I was gonna be like, wait.
Yeah, show me one picture of Robert Downey Jr. holding a comic book of any kind.
Well, he likes Sweet Tooth.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he produced the damn thing. Yeah, he likes comic books that he could use to make himself more money. Good for him.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I love you. I love RDJ. That's not synergistic. That's opportunistic.
Oh,
but
I knew it was one of those istics.
Anyway, I'm just like, good for you, Marvel. Way to throw your hat over the wall. But speaking more in line with comic book movies and rumors and whatnot, there are some set photos that have been leaked onto the internet of the Superman movie.
Are we air quoting some leaks?
They have to be leaked because of how high resolution and how clearly they are.
They were taken with an iPhone 15.
Well, because right. I mean, like there were a couple of shots of David Corenswet wearing like a robe or something, clearly hiding his Superman costume, and I was like, oh, okay,
he's being comfy. It's just comfy soups.
I mean, why wouldn't he? Yeah, like people are like, oh, I got a leak of Sal outside of his house wearing a robe. What's he hiding under there? Modesty, but no Superman suit.
You're not hiding the modesty.
No. I'm yeah, that's true.
Modesty's on full display.
Yes, I am being modest.
Yeah.
I'm hiding your blindness, but yes. But yeah, I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. That sounds good. And then boom, suddenly these full ass color pictures revealing the suits of not one, but two superheroes. And that's all I'll say about it for the next couple of seconds. If anybody really, really doesn't want to be like spoiled.
Yeah. Mute us up or like leave the room.
Just hide, just shrink the window, but you can hear what we're talking about.
So you mute it. And
exactly. But yeah, I think that there was some hullabaloo regarding the James Gunn officials, the Superman suit reveal. You know, a lot of the effects, a lot of the images. I think the entire thing was done in camera outside of like the ridiculous ball in the sky. But, you know, this concept of like, oh, Superman putting on his boots and, you know, more of like a mundane, and his suit is all like, you know, used, so to speak. It's got battle damage on it, and so it was an odd but deliberate choice for how they were going to tell you what Superman's costume was going to look like. And then these pictures came out, and they are of a pristine suit. They are of a clean suit. And so let's talk about it. Let's look at them and let's talk about it. So here we go.
Okay, just that's a precursor to what's about to happen.
Yes,
this is the part where I didn't see this one.
I know you didn't. I know you didn't. So
this is reaction live here.
That's right. That's right. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. If you are not interested, but you should look away.
This is not as high quality.
It's not. There's another one that we've got.
Yeah, that one's the high quality.
Yeah. But this is David Corenswet and Eddie Gathegi. I apologize for the name pronunciation, as Mr. Terrific, Superman, Mr. Terrific. Now we knew Mr. Terrific was going to be in the movie, but there they are in their full costumes. And there are a lot of really good shots of Mr. Terrific and some speculation thereof. Most of them I found on Twitter, but like this one in particular, you know, it's the comic book suit. Yeah. And when it comes to the Superman suit, wow,
all of it.
I am in favor of a lot of it. Now, there was any of the criticism I've heard, you know, there's a little bit of bunching, a little bit of folding still present in this suit. It's not that it's ill-fitting necessarily, but it's a choice. There's a lot of
clearly not in a take right now either.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
There's like a person who's gonna come and be like, do this, do that, done. Here
Absolutely.
We go. And there's a chance you're not even gonna see. You know what I mean? Like you're seeing a scene that you're not meant to see. You know, because that's the thing about movies and comics, for that matter.
Yes,
you only see what the director/artist wants you to see.
That's very true. Like, that's very true.
I don't know.
Yeah, but
I didn't see any of these. Wow, wait, go back.
Yeah,
go back. Oh, like it's like the mask is on his face.
Yes, and I believe it goes over his face, goes over his nose, over his mouth.
It's not a post. You know, like,
no, it's not done in post. It's not a Green Lantern mask.
Mr. Terrific suit looks great.
I know. It looks incredible.
It looks so
and they've
good.
done Mr. Terrific on like CW shows, and they've been pretty good. Like they've been actually pretty comic book accurate. It's not hard to do a comic book accurate Mr. Terrific suit in live action at this point.
Some people choose, like, they go like, oh, put my spin on it or
absolutely,
whatever.
Absolutely.
Man.
No, but they're really going for it. And I mean, if you're gonna do Mr. Terrific in live action in a movie that you hope will make $1 billion, then it better be as accurate and as close as you can get it. I hope that these jackets become available for sale for people. But
look at the two of them.
I know. It's really cool.
I love it.
I know. A lot of the
so young there.
Yeah. They both look really young.
No,
but Superman
in
particular.
In the image, he had a bit more wear on him, but he looks a lot younger here.
It's true.
Oh, you see. I think we talked about this at one point or another. I don't remember, but like I love the idea of putting Mr. Terrific in this, right? Because it's like everybody wants why does everybody want the Batman Superman like pairing, right? And it's because you want to see your two favorite characters hanging out together. But really what it is you want like that scientific intellectual mind of Batman to go up against like Superman's endless hope, right? And it's like, so here's an opportunity to do the exact same thing without all of the hangups of needing another movie or another franchise or another whatever. You get the same sort of like pairing, but in a totally different and new way. I'm here for it.
Absolutely. This is one from Twitter, but I'm going to scroll up, but you can see like from the back.
His foot?
I don't know.
Is that like
right? Maybe he got hurt, but he's got a bandage on there. I think that's definitely for the movie. But yeah, you can see. I mean, like, and there was some debate. There were some questions. Does he have the yellow S on the back of the cape? The answer is yes. It's an emphatic yes.
The two of them look like superheroes.
I know. They look like superheroes. They look like this looks like a shot from the movie. This looks like they were pulled straight out of the comic book and put onto the screen. I'm excited. Like this is actually doing a really good job of hyping me up. For this movie. I want to be excited. I want to love this. I love how that cape drapes. I love the folding in the cape. I love the Mr. Terrific suit.
The Mr. Terrific suit is really like selling it for me. I don't know. There's just something about that suit standing next to the soup suit. I don't know. Something there. I know. I'm loving it.
I'm loving it. I don't love I never loved the pop collar from the New 52. I'll take it in this. I don't, and not necessarily one of those things where I'm like, oh, I didn't like it there, but I do love it here. It's more like I'm just so excited by all of it, and I think it's because one of the compliments we paid it a while ago when they first made the suit reveal was it's a lot of different things at once.
Yes,
we're looking at it is the New 52 collar, but it is the like post-crisis coloring on the suit. You've got the saturation levels right. Look at that yellow belt and how it doesn't do anything but break up the colors and say, I'm Superman's belt. It connects with the trunks, which I think work really well. There's other different shots of this suit that we've seen before, or the release are out there and available for you folks out there on the internet that show the trunks. They're a little bit lower than your typical trunks. And I'm fine with it. You know,
I don't care. This is great.
Yeah,
I love it. I love the two of them together.
I know.
Oh my god,
it really makes it feel like a universe, right?
It makes it feel like a universe, 100%. Also, like I don't know, Mr. Terrific, even though he's in a costume, it like grounds him. Like he's like a more grounded hero. I don't know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, like it. While Terrific suit is not muted at all, and it is 100% a costume, it for some reason emphasizes for me, the brightness and saturation of Superman's costume.
No, I agree.
Yes.
Yeah. Not only that,
I love it.
Yeah, but it makes me so excited for this movie, and it makes me wonder and speculate, which they want me to do, about the future of the DC universe at large.
Yeah.
Like if this Mr. Terrific is great, which I have no expectations, but I do hope for the best. That Gafigi does a terrific job, no pun intended. I would love to see a Strange Adventures adaptation.
Yes.
Which is essentially
like the first thing
which is essentially just they're
just like letting you know
a Mr. Terrific comic.
Yeah.
And I would love to see that.
Yeah.
So I'm here for it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Yes.
So,
Thrilled.
I love it. And it's a smart move.
He only showed me the one image. I was like, oh yeah, this is just one image. That's all I saw. He did not show me all the other ones.
Yeah. No, I'm excited. I am looking forward to it.
Yes.
And I love that it was such a smart move to put Mr. Terrific with Superman.
Yeah.
You know, I think it might have been exciting to see on-set photos of Mr. Terrific, but without the Superman in there to connect it directly to the movie, and without like giving Superman that opportunity to be there and set against it.
No, I like
really
them
works.
both. I honestly think it's more exciting with both of them, period. Like even if it was just Superman, I've been like, okay.
Right.
Like cool.
Yeah,
whatever.
no, but the two of them
together, I don't know. It's more exciting with the
it
two
is
of
more
them
exciting
together,
because it says so much. Like with a Superman movie, you know, there are more bad than good Superman movies. And so I've seen what Hollywood can do with Superman on film, especially when he's alone.
Yeah.
Or when he's with Batman.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
This, I think it shows you a Superman that is part of a larger universe that Gunn is no stranger to developing.
Yeah.
And giving you Mr. Terrific and of course the other rumored characters that will appear.
Yeah, I'm honestly excited too that like, you know, like moviegoers are going to get to be introduced to some characters that
they would never have pursued or even known about otherwise.
Yeah.
And then they can get a chance to read about. Now, I would
100%.
hope that DC is in hot pursuit of a Metamorpho book, because if Metamorpho is going to be in this friggin' movie and he's going to look like Metamorpho, you better get something on the shelves.
Like, I'm thinking like specifically like Mr. Terrific.
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
you know what I mean? Like to put him there, put him out front, like obviously with these like leaked or actually like in quotes leaked like images. I don't know. Like I think that that's so freaking exciting.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I am so glad that the leaked photos had like both of them.
Yeah.
Like it was exciting. It was actually really exciting to show me just the Mr. Terrific ones, because I don't think I remember that he was going to be in the movie.
Right.
Like,
No,
so
it's
him
true.
on his own, I was like, oh, that's exciting. But to see them together, I don't know. It just brings it. It's a still image. It brings the world to life a little bit for me. Like I don't know. It just makes it feel lived in.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like we're not like we're starting from the ground up.
Yeah.
Even though we are.
Right.
I don't know. Yeah. I'm thrilled. I can't wait. I can't wait for people to meet this Mr. Terrific. I'm looking forward to meeting him.
I know. I can't wait to see Nathan Fillion in a Guy Gardner suit. I can't wait to see Metamorpho.
So
I can't wait to see Supergirl.
That one. That's the one I'm like, they better get that right.
They're gonna. I mean, like it's gonna be.
It's
gonna be the things that you probably either like or don't like about the Superman suit, but with the Supergirl.
No, I don't mean that. I mean like I'm looking because I need her to, because I want that Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow.
That movie better be good.
That's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one for me. That's the one I'm going to be the most.
Yeah, folks working on that Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow movie, by the way, don't be afraid of the source material. Just do that, please. Don't screw it up.
Yeah, it's amazing.
But so jumping into some super chats really quick.
Can I ask a really quick question?
Yeah.
All right, because we were like, can I tie these two news stories that we did together?
Sure. Yeah. Marvel wanting to
like help
get
support
comics,
right? And then and this, right?
Mm-hmm.
DC kind of already doing this in its own roundabout way. How would you feel about Marvel or DC or putting out like books that were related to the movies, not with like a movie cover on it, but with like a special imprint thing on the top that like helps people who come into a store know that like these are the books I can pick up if I want to know more.
Right. I love that idea. I mean, DC's no stranger to imprints. They just resurrected the Elseworlds line. I would love to see like something like that. You know,
we've seen like comic book adaptations of the movies where like they put like a screenshot from the movie or something. I'm not talking that. I'm talking like a little thing at the top, like a DC Essentials, something like that at the top on the spine that says like, hey, fans of the movie who maybe want to learn more, I'm going to grab this, and I know I'm going to be okay with this because someone over there in authority told me this is the thing I can read.
Exactly. No, there's a like I would love there's the RPG called DC Adventures, but I can imagine something called DC Adventures, and it's just like that's the line you look for when you are being told by DC you should probably read these books if you like those movies.
Right.
You know, but yeah, I agree. I'm down. Brandon Foley says, recently read all of Ultimate Spider-Man, and Bagley's art is so easy to follow and understand the action panel to panel. Is there an artist you love but find their action hard to follow?
That's a good question.
Yeah. Thank you, Brandon. Excellent question, and appreciate your support.
So yes and no. Because it's like on Suicide Squad Blaze, Aaron Campbell, phenomenal work. Love that work. It's very open. It's very like artsy and interpretational, and I don't necessarily find it hard to follow because I feel like the art's meant to be organic, and yet if you're reading it as like a standard like comic book type of story, I think it would be a little rough. But I do love him as an artist, and I can't say that you're gonna have the easiest time at moments with that part of his style. He has multiple styles. He has like a lot of range, but when he goes into that hard, like gorgeous, my favorite part of it, it's a test.
I've certainly been challenged by George Perez in the past. I love George Perez, undisputed champion of artistry in the comic book world. But Crisis on Infinite Earths and JLA Avengers, I remember when I first read it, I was like, the more crowded it gets, the more frenetic it gets.
Yeah.
You know, the more it's just kind of like, not like that it's bad. I certainly loved seeing it, but you know, you're getting essentially a double page splash per panel per page, and it's a lot. It was just more overwhelming than it was hard to follow. But even then, like I found that I love that now.
Yeah.
But certainly when I was reading it as a kid, it was harder to follow. Lee Allen says, any chance we could get Sal's thoughts on Ultimate Spider-Man 5? I think I did review it. If not, I dug it, but it's missing Chichetto on it.
Yeah.
Hulkzillo, happy Monday, you guys. Ultimate Spider-Man number 6 is my favorite issue so far. I had the biggest grin when I finished that issue. Yeah, I can imagine that definitely was a crowd pleaser of an issue. Matt Fisher, if Iron Man 94 series returns, would you be excited to see Force Works again? Also, did you know that on an outer space adventure, they were hit by cosmic rays, and the four were changed forever in the most fantastic ways? I am acutely aware of that and more. For example, that I have no need to fear. They're here. Just call the four. Fantastic Four. So yeah,
I'm like starting to think that you asked Matt Fisher, you gave him money to do this, because thank you.
Yeah,
that's
right.
Just in my head
now it's there forever.
A song I never knew.
No, before me.
Yeah. Thank you.
I love that. I love that song. It's so great, even though it's ungrammatical. But I mean,
so out of here.
So Force Works, Force Works sucks.
Does it work?
No, but it did for longer than it had any right to. I'm down. I say yeah, bring back Force Works. Force Works is a period that should never be forgotten, and it should be at the very least referred to, if not celebrated. If you're going to be doing a revival, they're not going to do a revival of the Iron Man 94 show. Let me put it right there. Like, they're not going to do that. Iron Man 94 will show up. He did in X-Men 97, but we're not going to do that. We're not going to see, that ghost character century. We're not going to see that. RLC Comics. Hey guys, any chance we can get another back issues on Runaways or Saga from Tiffany? I've caught up on both series because they're back issues. I'm thrilled. That's exactly what we want. I have been toying with the idea of bringing back Saga, but at the very least, we got 2 books that Tiffany needs to do. Post haste.
Yeah. Actually, yes. I forgot about the other one. Yes.
Ryan Garcia, here's some money for Camera Fund. How about Ultimate Spider-Man this week? I thought it was fantastic. Ryan, I'm right there with you, my friend, but we'll talk more in depthly about it. I promise you. Stay tuned for the end of the show. Bear Farmer, my first child was born. Congratulations, Bear Farmer. You got a cub in your house, in your den. Congratulations. Don't want to give away her info, but her middle name is Ferris, inspired by Ferris Airlines. Just hope that she likes comics too. Awesome. That's dope. Great. That's really cool, man.
Oh my gosh, congratulations.
Yeah.
You and your family.
Congratulations, man. Rydo, pouring one out for your camera, SLR, so long, real one. Yeah. Yeah, that SLR. Well, thankfully I've got a few of those SLRs just like that are just,
Yeah.
In the wings, waiting to help us out and make the show look not as good as it normally does. But no, we got the HCX 1500 now, and it's half the size, half the weight.
You haven't tried it
double
yet,
the power. I've looked through it. Like, I've turned it on. I've looked through the viewfinder. It's on the set. It's in front of the couch. It looks good. So we'll see how it goes. Dr. Martin Luther Jinby says, hey, Tiff and Sal, hope you're having a great day. The announcement of the MVC fighting collection has me wondering why there hasn't been a comic crossover to tie in with the previous games. Yeah, that's weird.
That's a phenomenal question.
Yeah, that's weird.
A really good question.
During that time,
I love that question.
Marvel should have definitely done that. Marvel had comic tie-ins with combos. So I would imagine they should have definitely made a deal with whoever had the rights to the Capcom licenses or paid for it themselves. It's a great question. I don't think you'll ever see one in your lifetime.
Why?
Because it's hard.
Why wouldn't they do that now?
The rights are weird. Rights are weird.
Yeah, but that's
expensive.
Okay. So yeah, I get the rights thing, right? Like the cost of it or whatever. But I mean, like, because of the fact that they're not 2 different comic book companies necessarily. I mean, I think there are Street Fighter comics, and I know Udon is involved,
right?
But they're not superhero universes in the same light, and they're not servicing the same audience necessarily.
I agree.
So I feel like there's less worry about like, well, we can't have this character lose to that character. Yeah. Like, I feel like it's just a good opportunity for outreach between the 2 groups.
Yeah. I agree.
I don't know. I feel like that's right there.
Yeah, I think so too. Bear Farmer returns to say, did USM feel short, or did I just want more?
You just wanted more.
Yeah, I mean, Ultimate Spider-Man always read fast for me. And this book is no exception. I saw actually an interesting thread on Reddit recently where someone took the opening page of the most recent issue of Ultimate Spider-Man, and they were like, is it just me, or are they getting like indulgent with the page space, and talked about how economic it could be? And this is, I think, just like, I don't want to go so far as to call it brain rot. It's more like the fact that the mentality that fosters machine learning is permeating the zeitgeist too quickly and too effectively, where people are looking at these pages, like they looked at the first page of Ultimate Spider-Man, they went like, whoa, like all this space. You could take a panel here, and just took a bunch of because all it's supposed to do is establish a tone, right? And it's like, yeah, but like trust the people who are making this comic book to know what they're doing. Chichetto made that page as a layout so that you would have a feeling and needed that space to create the breadth, to create the tone, to create that environment and that atmosphere for you. To then shortchange it or to insult it in such a way as to like crop things and go like, but no one said anything and nothing really happened. It's just setting up where you are. So take all the shots of that and just throw it all on one page. See,
I think that's a combination of two different things. I
Mhm.
agree the machine learning thing, but that's actually really funny that you mentioned that, because it's like simultaneously, like, because like in art, like you're meant to like, appreciate air and space and understand that like, at times like white space isn't just an absence of like something there, it's the space between. Anyway,
Yeah, you're not being robbed of something.
Yeah, there's like it's a lot going on, right? So
Unless you're reading House of M and Wanda makes the world go white and you get a full page of nothing.
Right. That's different.
But
so it's like, we with our human brains can appreciate that if we know to understand it or to look for it. But I think it's also like a result of a squeeze in finances too, where it's like you might feel like you're like, I just paid X amount of dollars for this and I wish I had gotten more, and I feel like I could have gotten more here and here.
Absolutely.
I don't know, it could be a little bit of both.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of both. I think in a benefit of the doubt kind of way, I like your thinking of, it's just, I want the most economic comics I can get, and I have a great idea for you. If you are out there in the world and you're like, I don't know if I appreciate modern comics, the lack of sympathy for my economic situation. They take a lot of time. There's a lot of decompression. The book's cover prices are very high. I have a fantastic solution for you. There are literally millions of comics that have been made in the last 80 years that you've never read, and most of them are a buck. I suggest that you go on a little quest, take character or universe or world that you are either intimately or not in any way familiar with, but you have some kind of interest in, and then start doing your research on what character that is, what era that might be, look for the lowest cost, and then go and explore. There are lots on eBay or any other like Mercari places where you can buy comic books online. Get a whole bunch of comics for $1 a piece and just explore, because those books are compressed to the point of making diamonds out of them.
Yes, I think it depends on the type of person you are. Some people will only want to be on the cutting edge.
Cutting
they
track,
want the next thing, what's new. And
Yeah.
other people want to know the history, all of it. They want to go back. They want to know all that stuff. So I don't know, it's a little bit
right. But if you're looking to be entertained, if you're buying comic books for the entertainment value, and you're like, not? No, economically speaking, it is not cost effective for me. Well, go back, get some old books, or wait a little longer, because most of those books that are $6 a piece, they're going to be $4, $3, $2 in a dollar bin, or in the aftermarket, unless they have something important or seminal happen in them, in which case the book gets inflated.
True. I feel like we should talk about comic books.
I agree.
That we read.
Yeah, I agree. Why don't you talk about Helen of Wyndhorn?
Oh, you want me to do that?
Helen of Wyndhorn.
Number 3. This is from Tom King and Bilquis Evely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like this I literally just recently was like, when is this book?
We were literally talking about it on
out?
the show last week, and then we saw, oh crap, it's this week.
Yeah, like it feels like it's been a little too long.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say this, folks, I think this is gonna read gorgeously in a trade.
Yes, or more appropriately in a hardcover. It's Dark Horse.
Yeah,
unlike Supergirl, this book will immediately come out.
I was gonna say, in a collected volume, I think it's gonna read beautifully, right? Because there were some things that I kind of had forgotten.
Oh, sure.
For a hot second,
just
but like
the issues,
and it has nothing to do with the writing. That literally has to do with the time. And that's the plight of the month-to-month reader, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if you heard the Helen of Wyndhorn number 3 came out this past
Helen
week.
of Wyndhorn?
Helen of Wyndhorn number 3. Helen of Wyndhorn from the Helen of Wyndhorn series.
I do love Helen of Wyndhorn.
Helen of Wyndhorn books that came before this. No, this issue was fantastic. It really kind of finally delivered on a lot of the promises that we were like talked about in the first issue or so. Second issue really was kind of as doing a little more establishing, a little more character building, and this one was like, hey, we promised you a fantastical world that which you barely hinted at. Let's get in there, right?
Yes.
Like let's definitely get in and like show you some of that universe.
Finally
we're getting in there.
The covers are all evocative of the universe to which they are referring, so why not jump into it?
Yes,
I'm glad we did.
100%. But yeah, I mean, you know, if you liked a lot of the like background story and like universe stories from Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow,
of course,
you know, it's not exactly the same thing. I don't want to accuse anyone of just doing the same thing again, because it of course is going to make you think of that because it's the same creative pairing. Actually trio, because
and Matt Lopes.
Also coloring this one.
Yep.
And it is like a couple of characters traveling somewhere, but it is very different. It is a fantasy world, and this is definitely not told in the same way by any means. This is like story within story within story. Technically, Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow was a story within a story, kind of, but it really wasn't about that. It was about like the story that was being told to you and not about what was happening around it until right at the end.
Totally.
This one is much more like, okay, we have this and this and this, and I'm like, okay, we got a lot of layers going on with it. But I really loved this exploration of this more fantastical universe, this world. I liked a lot of the rules of it. I really loved Helen and her grandfather, you know, understanding each other. I'm going to refrain from saying getting to know one another, just understanding each other and becoming used to one another in a way. Helen gets a big reveal. In a way, we meet a character. I think her name is Lady Hearth. I think
that sounds about right.
I freaking love her design. She's so pretty. There is a panel that Bilkis drew. I love it. It's just so. It's just her face, just her turning around. There's just like it's a whole thing.
Yeah,
it's a whole thing. This issue in particular struck me because I could really see like the hand-drawn nature of this book in it. Like in this specific issue, I was just so taken. I would love to see. I hope Dark Horse puts like the uncolored versions of this.
Yeah, I don't think she works traditionally.
Doesn't mean it's not hand drawn.
I know. But I'm just saying, like, there's no physical copy of these books. It's just all digital.
Okay, but that doesn't mean I can't see it uncolored.
You can certainly see it uncolored.
Yeah.
But you can't get a page.
No, that's okay.
So sad.
It's just, you know,
I know. I think it's wonderful.
You can get a print of it.
You can get a print. Yeah. But there's something else about having like the pages.
Well, sure. But like I would love to just see her line work on this, because there's so much going on and you don't think about it. Like sometimes, you know, you're reading a comic just in general, and like, you know, a lot of times with superhero art, like you can appreciate the form and all that, but you're looking at the piece as a whole, right? Which as you should. The comic needs to work, you know, words, image, coloring, everything like you know, like sync with itself. But this gave me pause a couple times and just reminded me of how much was going on in the art itself.
Right.
And not just with like the stunning colors. I mean, you know, this is just an artistic team that really understands one another. They know how each other thinks, and seemingly know how each other, you know, works and what will elevate the artwork further.
Right.
But her line work in this, there's just so much going on, and it's oftentimes you kind of forget about it because you take it for granted.
Yeah.
Right. You know, it's like that whole Nightwing thing, right? Where it's like you have something that's like great all the time, you take it for granted. The pages are beautiful, and I 100% take them for granted at times. And this, for some reason, this issue made me stop and slow down and take a breath and take a pause and go like, this is stunning.
Yes.
Like everything is just so stunning in this book. And I was snapped back to the reality of a modern world at the end of this issue. And like, honestly, you know, like, there was the mystery of like Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow of like, will they, won't they ever catch up to, you know,
the Red,
Ruth's, like, you know, father's murderer, right?
Yeah.
This is more like a mystery of like, what is going on? Like, what is happening?
Yes.
But the excitement and the call to adventure that Helen is experiencing, I feel like I'm also simultaneously experiencing through her. Yeah, I love this book, and I'm excited for it, and I can't wait for the next issue. Anyway.
I totally understand. Well, I read Nightwing 115 from Tom Taylor and Bruno Redondo. This continues the Fallen Grayson arc, where we're watching Tom Taylor exit the series and also finally deliver on this character. I think he invented early on in the run of his stint on this series, The Heartless, or just Heartless. We're just watching, things were going hunky-dory for Dick Grayson, and now they're not.
Well, here's what he's going to need.
Yes.
He's going to need to pick up 2 more people in his party, right? You're going to want Goofy, ideally, on S.H.I.E.L.D.
Right.
I made Donald Healer. It was always a mistake, but I'm just saying, if he's going to take down the Heartless, this is the way to go.
Yes, that's true.
He's going to need those 2.
That's a very good
Maybe
reference.
some big shoes, possibly a key-shaped weapon.
Yeah, indeed. Yes. Okay. So this is, Heartless takes the fight to Dick. Dick fights Heartless. He is framed and made to look like he is Heartless. So now the hunt for Dick Grayson is on. Everyone is like, we know Dick Grayson is actually the Heartless, and Heartless has discovered that Dick Grayson is Nightwing. So, the stakes have never been higher.
Wait, do we know who Heartless is?
Yeah, we found out a while ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. No,
is it Rick Grayson?
No, thankfully, no. We actually did a Rick Grayson arc in this series already. We squared that circle when it came to Rick, thankfully. But yeah, this is it's ironic that Dan DiDio is returning to DC to write a story at the exact same time that Dick Grayson's life is falling apart. But rumor has it he's only writing one story. I'm sure he will also find his way into editorial again. But this is a book. It's fun. It's interesting.
Is a book. That was what sounded like you were going to say.
Yeah, no, but it is fun to watch this character. We had fun just watching him succeed and do well. So now we can really struggle and drag him through the mud. We can really be concerned for him.
You guys weren't buying it.
Yeah, you probably weren't buying it.
No, I think it's just they're setting it up for the next day.
They are, yeah. I mean, I enjoyed it, and there are great moments where you can kind of tell in a lot of serialized comic book fiction where you think they want the character to go, and so I don't know about other people, but I find myself occasionally just being like, you get to it, move on. Like, we know what you want to do, why don't you just cut to it? And I think that's a lot of the Bendis influence on me, because Bendis was very much a master of subverting expectations, where like a character will literally say, this is the part in the comic book where we're supposed to have a big 8-page fight, but I was thinking maybe we'd have a 2-page conversation, and then the remaining 6 pages will be us just kind of like hanging out and working together. And I'm like, yay!
Right.
I love when that happens. So this was fun to watch. Like, Dick Grayson discover that he's been framed and made to impersonate Heartless as the cops are descending upon him, and he's like desperately trying to make sure that he isn't unmasked so that he doesn't have to go through the arc he is literally in. And yet, you know what I mean? I'm like, the tension was built. There was no massive Redondo moment that is famous for this run. But Redondo did a fine job of telling the story. But there was very little like glory and spectacle.
If it was always that, then it wouldn't be special.
That's exactly right. But it was still competent and still told an engaging story. And like I said, there was a great sequence that I think everyone knows or would know how it's going to end, but because of the masters at work, there was still tension. It's like watching one of the reasons why I think Back to the Future may be a perfect movie is because you can watch it 150 times, and the way it is shot, cut, and performed and mixed with music and sound. When the alarm goes off on Marty's dashboard as he needs to get the car to 88 miles per hour and it won't start, I am still feeling tension.
Right.
I've seen that movie a lot, and I still feel nervous for Marty, such that it is with this issue. I was like, hey, that's really cool. So, bravo.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so speaking of other things in the DC universe, I also read World's Finest, number 28, of course, from Mark Waid and Dan Mora. And I believe also Travis Mercer. This, it's ridiculous. Fifth dimensional imps taking over and fighting each other, and there's Bat-mites and Aqua-mites and Wonder Woman-mites and bad guy mites and so forth,
and mites and
mixies and so forth.
Are there mites for the mites?
No, thankfully not yet.
Are there metamites?
Mark, you hear that? Metamite. pick that up. But this guy, you know, Jimmy Olsen has been named the greatest superhero in the world, and so Mxyzptlk like gives him his powers so he can fight this big fifth dimensional monster who hunts other fifth dimensional beings. And meanwhile, Batman, Superman, and Batmite are trapped in the sixth dimension. And, you know, it's just a lot of self-referential stuff. It was actually really fun to watch Wade weave this. Okay, so this book is a flashback series. This takes place in the past. It's like the fledgling days of Batman and Superman teaming up, the fledgling days of the DC universe, and yet everyone else is also really established. But also, it's happening at the same time as all the things that are coming out currently in continuity. So there's a moment where they are falling through dimensions and they fall through time, and they bump into Batman at the start of Zdarsky's arc. And I was like, that's kind of fun. That's a neat idea. They fall through War World. Hey, all you War World fans out there who just can't stop telling me how great War World is. There's a reference to it in this. So yeah, it's just but it's a really cool idea, and you know, Wade is just playing ball and doing a great job. I'm loving it.
That's great.
And of course, Dan Mora's art is impeccable, as per usual. There's a great moment where Batman like flies at the screen, and there's it's just the effect they put on it. But it's I remember very early on in my comic book reading career, the transition from traditional art to the use of digital effects.
Yes.
And I remember vividly, like, there were two instances. There's a motion blur in a Planet of the Symbiotes issue, and there's a motion blur on a Spawn moment where Spawn is in the shadows and his chains are flying like around. The idea is he's like being encircled by chains. And I remember just being like, what looks like it's really moving? And they do an effect on Batman like firing his grapple gun in this, and it's a digital effect, but it is to this my reaction to that back then.
Okay.
You know, where I'm like, whoa, this super dated effect is really effective in 1996. And so perhaps it will be again. But for now, I was just like, just marveling at its effectiveness. But yeah, great series, great book. You should be reading this series.
I love it.
What about you?
Okay, so here's what's really funny this week, right? Like, of the comics I read, 3 of them I just realized were about stories. Like I just put the Helen of Wyndhorn, Doctor Strange, and Hellblazer. Yeah, it's just all about stories.
You know what's funny about that is that this week's back issues is also all about stories.
What is happening?
There's literally a moment where a character goes cross-eyed and goes, "I believe in the power of story," and so that, you know, that take that as you will.
It's synchronicities, man. Doctor Strange number 16 came out this week, written by Jed MacKay with art by Pascal Ferry. This takes place between Blood Hunt 3 and 4.
Okay.
And so it's between an issue we haven't read yet and the issue we just read, right?
Great. So it's like a trend. It's like, great, I pick this up and I can be excited. It's like I'm getting a little bit extra. I'm on the road to issue 4.
They're literally like, I think what they're doing is they're telling you, like, why aren't these characters here? It's like, because this issue's happening in between those two.
Yes.
And literally, you know how like in the last issue it felt like MacKay was kind of just being like, I'm doing an issue where people should go and pick up the spin-off books that I'm writing.
Yeah,
right?
no,
that really were his.
Yeah, that was
about it. I was like,
they're all his books that he was selling in the last issue.
You know what? That's fair. More than likely, if you're reading Blood Hunt, you're probably reading at least one of his other books that you were reading before.
Right, not even the tie-ins, not like the books like Spider-Man Blood Hunt, but rather the Jed MacKay series that he was working on, Avengers.
Well, but these aren't tie-ins. Like, all of those got tie-ins, not the Blood Hunt books, because there are Blood Hunt books that are like 3 issues. These are legitimate tie-ins. So like Avengers has a tie-in, Moon Knight has a tie-in, Doctor Strange has a tie-in. Like they're labeled on there. They'll let you know what it is, right? Yep. But if you were already reading those series, you're like, oh, I guess I'm reading Blood Hunt. More than likely, which is what I did, right? And we had set up a whole bunch of things quite a while ago, including if you know Doctor Strange, you know he has a brother. His name's Victor Strange.
He's a vampire.
He's a vampire for very specific reasons. A lot of it had to do with It had to do with Doctor Strange's guilt. He brings him back. Oops, not good, right? And then he dies. You know, selflessly, sort of. Anyway, He apparently has been like hanging out in the Crypt of Shadows as a ghost, and he's pissed about it. You know, he's real mad about it. He's like, everybody forgot about me. Blah, 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 blah.
It's like, yeah.
Cool, whatever. This issue is the Victor Strange issue.
Okay.
Right. The idea here is Clea and Doc's astral form have left to go do something. They hint at it. I'm not gonna
It's issue 4. Yeah.
I'm not you'll read it there. Moon Knight, or sorry, not Hunter's Moon,
Tigra, and another character.
Well, they're off to do something
in Asgard,
and then the Avengers are off. Everyone had been at the Sanctum.
Yes.
But everyone has left. The only thing he doesn't mention in here is that like Dracula, Miles, and Blade's daughter were also there.
There's no book for that.
There is. I think it's Dracula's book.
Oh.
But he's not writing it, I don't think.
So oh no.
He's like, I'm not gonna mention. I don't know that.
Yeah. That's editorial's book.
Whatever. But like, really this issue is like also like kind of giving me a little bit of what I wanted.
You wanted a Doctor Strange series.
I want a Doctor Strange series, and I feel like Jed hasn't really had a chance to play around with him too much.
No,
like,
it's true.
He killed him.
Yes, he killed him.
He was gone for a bit. He brought him back, and now we're here. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, so in this, Wong had joined that like wand group.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, so he is here as well. And he's watching Doctor Strange's body, which is a
vampire.
Yeah.
Now wait a minute.
Yeah.
Because Doctor Strange's astral form is his consciousness.
Yes.
So what is piloting the Doctor Strange vampire body while Doctor Strange is out of it? Shouldn't that Doctor Strange be unconscious?
No, because here, like the theory is, remember how like when Miles became a vampire, he was all like, taken over. Like it's the vampire mentality. Like that's what's
does it soil itself? Does it know to breathe?
Well, it's a vampire.
I know, but like, is it a separate vampire? Are they like spirits of vengeance?
What do you mean?
I mean, like, it's just Doctor Strange as a vampire.
Right.
It's Doctor Strange with the compulsion to be a vampire.
So like his brain is still in there.
Right, but his brain is piloting the astral form right now.
No, that's his consciousness. That's his astral.
Okay, but his astral form does pilot your body.
We're getting into a metaphysics argument here because you could say scientifically speaking that the mass of his brain is still in there and it's still operating.
Yeah.
And it's more of like a
like unconscious, like a pilot.
It's more of an animalistic. It desires. All it wants to do is eat. Right, like that's what it wants to do. It wants.
Do they eat or do they try to procreate? Are they trying to bite to make you into vampire? What is a vampire's function? Do they want to consume blood or do they want to make more vampires?
What's the writer doing? So anyway, this is all important though because we need to know that technically the body's an empty vessel.
Oh no. And his brother's like, well, wait a minute.
Knew where this was going.
Yeah, his brother's like, wait a minute. I am already a vampire and I'm a ghost. If I astral project myself into my brother's body, then I could just be myself all the time.
We all knew where this was going.
Okay.
Right? We all knew. But like in the past, his brother was talking to someone, and it's like, who was it? We all knew who it was. It was Blade, or whatever Blade is.
Right. Whatever's taking over Blade.
Blade, right?
Yeah.
Whatever's happening there. Like, it's like, well, you should probably just take his body. It's fine. And Wong's over there like, I should have protected him more, and I didn't. I'm a total failure, and I should be out helping people. And
yes, you should. What are you doing now?
What am I gonna do? And then Victor jumps into
Doctor Strange's body,
and they have like a fight. And like,
cool.
Wong's like, well, here's the thing, man. You don't know how to use magic, so like, I'm better than you in every way. Like,
yeah. Plus, you can't fight like me.
Steve didn't like. Well, theoretically, he can a little bit because remember in the Oath.
Yeah. No, I mean Wong knows how to fight.
Well, yeah,
Wong's a badass.
Like, so does Steve's. His body does at least, right?
Yeah. Okay, he's got muscle memory.
A little bit, but like the point is, he's like, I'm better at everything than you are right now. He's like, because you don't know how to do magic, and Victor's like, here's the thing. You will hold back. You're pulling your punches because you're fighting your friend. Right. Yeah. You want to pluck your friend's eye out. Like the whole thing, and the reason I say this about stories, because like, Victor's like, I'm a story now, and that's all I am. And that means I have to do blah, 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 blah. And like, Wong, this is a horror movie, essentially. So for the next blah, 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 like it's literally like we're doing a thing. Whatever. Okay. It's story. It's ghost stories, it's horror stories, it's whatever.
Sure.
And he's like, so like, because I'm the villain of this story, he's like, the fact is, it's like, I'm going to give you an opportunity. And he like, opens up his like as though the shirt was going to stop it, but he's like, here, go ahead. You have a stake. Go ahead, do it.
Yeah, drive into my heart.
Oh, you can?
Right.
Cool. I win. I'm going to try. Like, I'm going to let you go. and I'm gonna do what every horror movie does. You get a head start. Off you go. I'm gonna chase you down. I'm gonna get you.
I'm gonna bite you.
I'm coming for you, but don't worry, because bats and the snakes are coming back to help.
Oh, okay.
I was like, okay, sure, why not?
Cool. All right.
Whatever. Like, that's fine.
That's fun. A good use of his brother.
It's a good, yeah, we haven't.
Because you're like, oh my God, he's got a brother's vampire. We got a vampire event. How the hell am I going to use this? And it's like, wait.
Yeah, he figured it out. Figured it out for sure.
That's clever.
But like Wong also tries to remind him, he's like, you were not a bad guy when you died.
Right.
And he's like, but you guys didn't mourn me. He's like, we definitely did. He's like, it wasn't enough. And I'm like, okay, so.
Okay, so you really want this to happen is what you're doing. Okay, fair enough.
Yeah, it's fun. It's cute. If you're a Doctor Strange fan, you're probably going to enjoy this one. Like I said, because it's like, it harkens back to, times past, but keeps it within not only the story of just the Doctor Strange book, but also within Bloodhunt. So I'm like, pretty good all around.
Yeah.
There's something else I wanted to mention about this, and I literally can't remember what it was. So that's fine. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the next. I think this one says like it's to be concluded, so I guess it's the end of the tie-in.
Okay, well, so Bloodhunt's wrapping up soon.
Yeah, I mean, Bloodhunt's been coming at us at like a pace for sure.
It has.
Like it's been
Tabula
coming at us.
Yeah.
For certain, like in a way that I feel like I can't keep up with all the books that are
certainly not
attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm looking forward to it being collected and one day being able to actually sit and go through them all, because that would be fun.
Yes,
probably. We'll see how it wraps up.
Yeah, we need you to get fired so that you can just spend a month here at the studio and then just read all the books.
Oh yeah, that'll really help us.
I mean, it will when you come out of your cocoon.
I suppose so.
You're like, I've read everything.
I read all the things. Yeah.
Yeah. You'd be like, here's my 3 shows I've created now.
Yeah, here are all the
things.
shows about this comics that I've read that no one else wants to know about.
Yeah.
But yeah, fun stuff. Good. And like,
all right.
I'm looking forward to, I guess, Bats returning.
Yeah.
He's been it's an interesting addition that I like inevitably was like,
yeah, you were skeptical of Bats.
I was super skeptical about Bats.
Is he a Donny Cates creation, or is
I think he is.
I think so too.
I think he is, and I gotta tell you, like, I do not hate Bats. I think he's a nice addition. Often serving like as a Watson.
Yeah, you know why?
But like he's definitely like, since bringing Clea back,
right?
It's not a lot of room for Bats.
No, like we need Bats was a tape recorder. He was a character for Doctor Strange. If we were using thought balloons more, we wouldn't even need Clea or Bats. Except that Clea also is a character that Jed McKay really reveres and wants to use and replace Doctor Strange with. But yeah, no, it's true. But the reason why I think Bats works, he doesn't insist upon himself.
He doesn't.
A secret boss. Oh no, Wells' Amazing Spider-Man's ending. Sam must be devastated. I am. It's just really sad to hear that this borderline unreadable book will maybe continue to be unreadable because the editor is terrible. AKA 480. Excited for Corn Sweat. I know. I what happened to the days of Hollywood being like, hey, kiddo, no one's gonna say that. Your name is David Smith now.
Because that's a really stupid mentality to have.
Sorry, kiddo, but your name's Corn Sweat.
Nope.
It's weird.
Nope.
No one's ever gonna say it right.
You're weird for thinking that.
It's weird that we have to do this.
I disagree with you entirely on that.
I look because it's because then it gets dicey when you have names from other places.
No, that's on us to
I know. No, I'm saying it's
that.
dicey to do that when it suddenly becomes like a cultural thing as opposed to just like a name that sounds ridiculous.
It's unforgettable.
That's damn right.
So it's actually doing 100%.
It's
of
working.
What you said.
Yeah. But I want Pattinson to be in the same universe as him. And Pattinson said he is not against being in Justice League. You see, that's the problem. Is that Pattinson's like, well, I'm not against being in that one movie that might make $1 billion. And it's like, no. You need to be not against being Batman from now on.
Yeah.
You need to be not against being Batman as a cameo in a Green Lantern movie. You need to be not against Batman being in Batman cameos in Batman TV shows that are also tying into your universe.
And Batman.
You need to be making Batman movies with Superman. You need to be making Batman movies in like your Human Target movie adaptation. Like you better be Batman and everything. That said, I also love Pattinson. I also think that movie could work in this universe. Like, I think you could just do that. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's too late. Nikki T, having Mr. T in this film, for me, says they might be stealth introducing the JSA down the line since he has a larger history with them than the JLA. Here's the thing. There's no friggin' way that he will be on the JLA formed by Superman. This is a universe, I think, where there is a Justice League. It's over there. If we hadn't overdone Doomsday, he would show up and remove them so that Wonder Woman, Batman, and Superman could be on a Justice League one day.
Right.
Instead, we'll have some other thing. But yeah, Lucid says, so effing excited to see what Gunn does with the DCU. Love you guys. Keep it up. Thanks, Lucid. Appreciate it. Thank you for your generosity.
Thank you.
Panago Crazy, Mr. Terrific is my favorite DC character next to Plastic Man. He looks really good. Hope we get nods to the Terrifics. Let's one thing at a time. That said, I think Plastic Man getting a Black Label book with a lot of press that came out last week for no good reason whatsoever should give you an indication about where Gunn's head is at. Like, I think that Plastic Man will not be in Superman, but he will be announced by the time Superman comes out.
Right.
Nikki T, I'm also worried about Supergirl. First movie starring her, and you're doing the best one first. What will be left for her? You don't need to make more Supergirl movies. Like, you make an awesome. Supergirl shows up in Superman.
They never learn that lesson.
No, they don't.
But I think what it would be the first one would be like, here is this is just about her, and probably things following that would be reactions to whatever was happening.
That's true.
And so they'd be able to take from other plots and maybe like mix some stuff up.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's one of people's most revered Supergirl stories of all time.
Yeah,
is when she goes to the future to hang out with the Legion of Superheroes.
Right.
So, like, that could be a Supergirl movie.
Sure.
And it'd be, if you have a franchise tethered to Supergirl, if Superwoman Tomorrow does well, right? If it's even made. Then, and I say that only because, like, I mean, we're going to be lucky if the Superman movie comes out, because it's like, what a weird, tumultuous time we live in. But if Supergirl works, you do Supergirl and the Legion of Superheroes as her sequel, the way that we are doing Mr. Terrific and Metamorpho and Hawk Girl and stuff in the Superman movie.
Right.
Where it's like, wow, now you're familiar with the Legion of Superheroes. That's a franchise over there.
So, I don't know why I'm thinking of this now. So, like, they make the Supergirl movie, right? Like, let's say they actually make the Superman or Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow movie. They doing Comet the Superhorse? Are they doing that? Do you think they're doing that?
I would imagine that one of the first things getting cut will be Comet.
I would like to be in a universe where I'm sitting in a theater filled with people and that happens.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen.
I really want that badly.
I don't think that's going to happen.
I need to, like, put more points into manifestation and make that happen. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, okay. They're not going to deal with the Super
Let's move
Horse.
on. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Let's.
Tanner Matheson, if you have read them, what do you think about the year one stories for Batgirl, Robin, and Nightwing?
I've read the Batgirl one and I loved it.
Yeah. We've been sitting on that as a back issues for a long time.
I just didn't think anybody would want it. I love that book.
We would have done it if that movie came out.
I was a nanny for a hot second. I think I mentioned that before. And, like, part of, like, a summer thing I did with them is we went to the library every day so that they kept, like, reading.
Yeah.
And that was my book. They had it there at the library. I would grab that book and I would read a little bit every day. I really liked that book a lot. Yeah. And I really liked the art.
We have it. It's
I know.
Yeah, I think it's paired with Robin year one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree with you. Girk Pectus, do you think James Gunn, Warner Brothers will force Matt Reeves to keep Batman 2 realistic, to keep it different from Brave and the Bold? Reeves wants to use Mr. Freeze. I don't know. I honestly think that there's probably still a conversation going on about whether they're going to make Matt Reeves' Batman part of the universe. I mean, like, Matt Reeves is a creative force that makes the Batman work, and that movie is great. I know Matt Reeves does not want to do a universe thing, but he doesn't have to do them all. He just needs to set up the universe and then have another competent creator or filmmaker work on the next Batman movie, Brave and the Bold. You don't need him if he's not going to play ball. If they're going to do that, which I don't think they will. So, when it comes to Mr. Freeze, I'm sure that there are going to be ongoing conversations. Like, I'm sure if they're like, we want to use Mr. Freeze, in our universe.
Yeah.
So no, Or you can use only the characters that we don't think we'll ever use, like Professor Pig. Except it's Batman and Robin, so we might use him anyway. So who knows?
So don't do it. Never mind.
So actually, you can't make any of them, so stop it. Like that. I mean, that's really how close we are.
You can make up your own guys.
Yeah. Right. Oh. You can use the Phantasm.
Oh.
Cat Lawyer with the French Retreats. Love how comfortable the super suit looks. Also, last back issue was hilarious. I was reminded of the Marvel Anatomy book, and I would love for Ethan to see it. We have it. We've did the DC one, and I think we have the Marvel Anatomy one. But yeah, Ethan looked through the DC one immediately. It was amazing. Flywheel Shyster, thanks for always being here, man. Coke Zero,
so
Toast, cheers. You guys are the best. Thanks,
well,
Flywheel.
thank you.
Always great to see you, buddy. Avery Trujillo, what should I read from McKay to read Blood Hunt? There's only 2 books really you need. McKay is referring to his own continuity, so it's like if you don't know what the Impossible City is, you should probably read McKay's Avengers. If you don't care, you're good. But if you want to know, you should probably read his Doctor Strange at the very least, because Doctor Strange is at the 4 of Blood Hunt. Moon Knight is not, but is also directly connected to it and leads towards it.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like from McKay, I mean, those are the 3 he's doing. So he didn't do the Blade series. He's not, you know what I mean? Like, he's not doing all of it. Like, he is helping to organize this. And there are a lot of like nods to it that drop. But I mean, like, in terms of like Doctor Strange, yes, like, you know, his brother was mentioned, but like there wasn't a whole lot leading up to this that was like, oh, and here comes this. Like, it was kind of like, oh,
yeah,
this is where we're at now.
Right.
Cool. In terms of Moon Knight, though, the only reason it might be beneficial is because of the fact that it's like, oh,
there's a guy who looks kind of like Moon Knight in this book, and nobody knows who the hell he is.
But other than that, like the series up to that, like McKay has a really great skill of continuing the story he's actively running and making the tie-ins make sense to make it not feel like it's out of place. So it's not like the things that have been happening in Vengeance of Moon Knight leading up to this are necessary to understand what's happening in Blood Knight.
Yeah.
Or in Blood Hunt.
Blood Knight sequel coming up. Days Toys, hi y'all. Always look good to hear you talk about comics. First time watching after moving to New York City.
Oh, congratulations.
Any comic shop recommendations in town? I mean, there's so many in the city. I've been to, and I think it's fun to visit Midtown Comics, but their prices are outrageous, so I do not like recommend them. But if you are like needing comics, you should probably check them out. I like Forbidden Planet. I thought it was just a fun, crazy store. But there's so many more, and they're like better mom and pop shops out there. I just don't know the area very well. Like it
also depends on what borough you're in.
That's very true. Like I know there's a bunch of really great ones in Brooklyn. I know there's great ones in I know there's at least 1 or 2 in Queens.
Yeah.
Like there are just check. You know, just check your Google Maps and see. But I can't personally recommend any because I don't really shop in New York. Thorn Identity, great to see you, pal.
Hey.
Congratulations on X-Force. Can't wait to read it. I just want to say the reason I come here is because I love how you guys love this stuff, even the stuff you don't love. It makes me feel like I did when I first discovered comic shops of things. So thank you, Thorn Identity, for your endless optimism and positivity, and for your for being here. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely.
You know, I read Ninja Turtles Last Ronin 2 Re-Evolution #2.
Did you?
I did. This is, of course, from Kevin Eastman and Tom Waltz, with art by Ben Bishop and Esau Escorza and Isaac Escorza. This was a book that was delayed in its release.
Oh, really?
This issue in particular.
Okay.
On the heels of a very, very popular phenomenon, The Last Ronin, making a video game, making a live action movie, making all kinds of stuff about this universe. And so this is an opportunity here. There's a great opportunity here with this sequel that was teased at the end of Last Ronin. Spoilers. But you get new turtles, you got a new universe, you got a new world, new characters, familiar, sages that can help guide your hero's journey. This is a very boring book. And
oh no.
It's it has a lot of problems.
Oh.
And it has very few problems, and the problems they have are huge. It is very caught up in itself.
Okay.
People liked Last Ronin because it was A, like other things, and B, rock simple. One of the turtles is alive. It's Dark Knight Returns with one of the turtles. His universe got dark because 3 of them died. And he fights them. And the bad guys are in charge.
Right.
And he has to stop them.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I need all my stories to be rock simple or to be just so inherently Campbellian that they, just stack right next to A New Hope in terms of narrative structure. But this book is like, it feels like a victory lap before you lose to the person you didn't expect to beat you.
Right. Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like, why don't you cross the finish line before you friggin' celebrate? All right.
Yeah.
Like, this book,
Yeah.
there is so much talking in this book between characters that I don't know, therefore do not give a shit about things that I don't understand because you're in issue 2 and I don't know what this universe is.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I know what this universe is only through the lens of Last Ronin, which again is like the bad guys have all the money and they're in charge. Like, I don't need to know how the hierarchy works, what the structure. I don't need to know how the empire functions. They kill in white uniforms, and the bad guy is in all black. That's how Last Ronin worked. This is just like, no, we're making a whole thing. We could do spin-off. Like, stop trying to make your Energon universe out of your Last Ronin 2.
Yeah, okay.
It is not going to work. No one is going to buy a Casey Jones's Kids spin-off book. No one's going to buy a book starring each of these turtles whose personalities are completely impenetrable.
Okay.
There's a last page moment in this where like a character reveals they have powers.
Yeah.
And I couldn't have cared less. I was actually kind of amazed
at how much you didn't care.
At how like phenomenal. Like, I was just like, this is like eating your vegetables, but the vegetables don't have any medicinal value. It's like choking down corn. Has no nutritional value whatsoever.
Okay.
Well, you can't finish your books until you finish your corn.
What? I like corn.
Yeah, I like corn too, but if you were forced to finish it, you wouldn't.
I guess. Okay.
But anyway,
that's a really weird decision.
It's just really corn. It's just really it was really boring.
Okay.
And it was so far up its own ass. I just couldn't find myself enjoying it.
That's fair.
I'm
I was
sorry.
just not expecting a rant. I think that's really where I'm at
now. I want, because you have a success. Yeah. And you're squandering it with this very this self-flagellating book.
Right.
That's my problem. Is that this book is just so many effing characters that I don't know, that I'm not familiar with, that are new. Like, I'm supposed to be introduced to them.
Right.
And my introduction to them is them all yapping at each other about the universe that I only like because of the context from the previous story. What do you want them
to do? Just be like, hello, my name is this, and I like these things.
Absolutely not. No, I like the reason why people like The Last Ronin is not why anyone would like this. Like, right? Like,
all right.
And so you're doing it. You're not doing it again. This is not a sequel. This is more like it's like you're taking advantage of your opportunity by expanding it into territories it has no business being in.
Oh, did you not read The Lost Years as is put in the chat?
No.
Oh.
No, I didn't. I read Last Ronin.
Well, I guess that maybe you're missing something then.
The Lost Years take place before Last Ronin.
Oh. Okay.
No, The Lost Years actually might be more exciting because it has to do with the original Turtles. Except that I know what happens in The Lost Years because I read Last Ronin. That was another one where I was like, oh, The Lost Years, a book about the stuff that I saw in Last Ronin, but more? I don't know. It's a weird thing.
Okay.
Especially when like you have a Turtles book that sells over 300,000 copies that will be mired in continuity because it's not a reboot, but people are still like willing to give it a shot, and they have like a really exciting talent on board, multiple talents on board.
Okay.
And it's just like,
apparently the baby turtles are on The Lost Years.
Oh, okay. I don't care about them. Like, this is one of those things.
Okay, so like,
I don't care about them, but the book makes no attempt to make me care about them.
Okay, I was gonna say I'm gonna be not a devil's advocate, but like if you don't care about them, then I feel like you shouldn't be angry about their introduction, because if you don't care about them,
no,
like,
look, I want to care.
okay,
I was introduced to them at the end of last Ronin.
then
Here they are.
Then you should go read the other book.
Yeah, as far as it was sold to me, The Lost Years was a book about what happened to the original Turtles, not about deepening the histories of these characters.
It's both.
It could be. I believe it is. Actually, now that I think about it, I think it is both. I think it does.
It looks like you need to do your due diligence.
That's true. That's true. Some might say, though, if you're doing a first issue or a second issue of a new series, maybe telling me I should buy an effing tie-in book is not the best way to do it.
Admittedly speaking, most people probably didn't read that interim book. If you just read Last Ronin,
yeah,
I don't know. Like I figure,
right? Like the majority of your readership is going to read Last Ronin and then this.
Yeah,
they're not going to read some tie-in book.
No.
That may or may not be telling you.
That is true. I mean, like,
lore.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like,
also,
there is something to be said about like Stanley's idea that like
every comic somebody first.
Yeah,
but like,
where it's like maybe you want to do a little better with that.
Yeah.
But I mean, the fact that you're saying that it has such a different feel.
It has a totally different
feel. It should. Yeah. And maybe that's actually. Oh, what if it's actually what it's doing is it's like it's even more meta than you think, right? Like how like Last Ronin is like Dark Knight for Ninja Turtles. Maybe like Last Ronin 2 is like Dark Knight Strikes Again.
I mean,
if for Ninja Turtles.
I wish it were, because there's actually less dialogue in last Dark Knight Strikes Again. But Dark Knight Strikes Again, yeah. I mean,
that book is such a blur to me. Like I know I read it.
Yeah,
I know I read that book.
The Dark Knight Strikes Again is like, let's look at the larger world, which is similar to this, where it's like, no. Like, don't you care more about how but also like, yeah, in Last Ronin, you know, they beat the hierarchy, but then at the beginning of this, they're like, no, they didn't. I'm like, oh my God, more of this.
I don't necessarily fault them for wanting to continue this universe.
Oh, I don't blame them.
I mean, like when they wrote it, they didn't necessarily expect the Jason Aaron book to sell 300,000 copies. So like,
I don't even know if it was in development.
You know what I mean? Like, completely understand them being like, well, put some eggs in this basket.
Yeah, no, I mean,
it's smart. Eggs over in that basket.
Oh yeah,
we'll just see which ones make it into the ocean.
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean, honestly, like, I think that's a smart move. Like, I don't fault them on any of the on all of the business decisions they've made as far as exploiting the Last Ronin franchise.
Yeah.
I just wish it wasn't so effing boring.
That's fair.
And
completely fair.
If I'm reading a book called Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles,
yeah,
the turtles are the main characters. They're not in this. And it's issue 2. And it took like 6 months for the last issue to come out.
Well, it was oversized, right?
Yeah. Oh no, there's more. There's more bang for your buck. I mean, you are getting something. But and if you're looking for like, if you're looking for a deeper universe, if you're like, I want to jump into like a brand new universe full of characters that are similar to but in no way like the characters that I am familiar with, then this actually might work for you. But
some people do want that. Some people are like, if they just love the universe, you just want.
Well, and this feels like a comic book. You know, like this feels like, you're starting a whole new universe. You're starting a whole new world with all these different colorful characters, and there's lore. You know, they're referring to stuff that happened. And if you know those characters, and if you know that lore, then it'll help you with your deeper understanding of the universe, or at least what the context is for what they're talking about. It just ain't for me.
Okay, fair. Totally fair.
What else did you read?
I read Hellblazer: Dead in America this week.
What?
Number 6. By Cy Spurrier with art by Aaron Campbell. Aaron does the entire book this time around. Last time it was like, it was a bunch of different like mini stories, so it was a bunch of different artists on it, but this is his work through and through.
Yeah.
And this is where I was talking about how it's like Aaron like has like this like his standard comic book stuff, and then like I mean, like I love his panel regular stuff.
Yes.
But like I'm here for this.
Oh yeah.
Like I'm here for his other, like his more artsy work.
Yeah.
There's some really, really phenomenal stuff in this book. But this issue is also about story. So again, this is
that's the theme of today's episode.
Today's episode was brought to you today by story. Sometimes your comic book stories are about stories. This one in particular, though, is if you like meta stuff.
That's what this is.
You're gonna like this book, because this is a commentary on that. This is John Constantine having to deal with that type of stuff. It's like, if you ever wondered, which I don't know why you would, what it might be like if John had to deal with like Deadpool, like his his
not the character,
but like his like fourth wall breaking shenanigans and like, you know, acknowledgement of being in comics.
Yeah.
This is where we get it. John would hate it.
Yeah.
Of
course.
You know, he's, you know, the whole point of this is that, like, you know, Daniel Hall Dream tasks John with finding the rest of the sand, because in Sandman, one of the things that Morpheus has to do upon, you know, gaining his freedom is get back his items of power, one of which is a bag of sand, for he is the Sandman. John had it at one point. There's a very sad story that accompanies that, but needless to say, like, oh, like supposedly John never got it open, but this serves to retcon that it's like, no, he did. And it makes sense when you think about it for a hot second.
He
like,
lied.
Of course he did. He's John Constantine. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that like some granules are missing and he needs to get them back. So John is tasked with doing that. It is on the heels of the last series that that Simon had done, Spurrier had done. I don't know him personally, so I'm going to call him Spurrier. And we're in America this time, as is the title, which is interesting because I feel like a lot of people hated the last time John was in America.
Yep.
I think was that New 52 or was that before that? I'm not sure.
Yep.
But this is like a Brit writing it with that lens.
Yes.
And I really appreciate it. But it also goes into depth because it's like when you think about the rest of the world, right? Non like America based, right? Like the rest of the world, especially not North America in general, but like it's older. Like everything's older, right?
Yes.
Africa, you know, the Asian continent, Europe, like it's all older. Their stories are older, right? So like America in the terms, when you look at that, it's newer, right? But Spurrier treats this like a land of story.
Yes.
Right. And when you think about it, it kind of is, you know, the idea of this melting pot, people coming from all over the place, they bring story with them. But it's like, it's tall tales, it's this, it's that, whatever, right? You know, last issue we dealt with Route 66 and like going down that and like it's just really, really fun. But that like story drives this and like, and our antagonists are, you know, utilizing that and you know, and again, if you know Sandman, you know who the antagonists are. I'm not going to ruin that for you. You'll find out. You know, the power of story in general, right? And in this, John had asked Swamp Thing, Alec Holland, to go and like basically sniff out where the rest of the sand granules were. He actually manages to do that, gives him like a tip on where to go via a dream. It's beautifully illustrated. It's phenomenal. Alec will no longer be part of this issue.
Okay.
I don't know if we're going to see him in the rest of the series or not. But Dream's like, now you know where it is. Go get my stuff. Because, you know, gorgeous work. The idea here is that like he'll meet like an emissary who's going to help. He knows the one story that they need to know or what have you, and off they go. This dude like wanders onto the bus. He's like horrific looking, right, in all sorts of ways. And what we discover about him, and this is what I want to get into, is that like he practices a specific type of magic that John despises. He hates this so much. He's a metamancer.
Oh God. Okay.
So he has like a script and he can change things and like he'll like hurt himself to make it happen. He pays the cost for it, right? And he's like, oh, these guys. And really what this guy is, he's like an old Hollywood like writer. He wanted to like, you know, sell scripts and what have you and have his movies made. They never got made because they're all horrible ideas. But like, you know, he make changes and he comes up with all these things. He utilizes the tales from around him in order to make that happen, right?
Yeah. So he's making fun of Marvel.
He's making fun of all kinds of things in this, right? Because then, like, you know, they're talking about how that guy, the guy who's on the bus, like, you know, studied with this other guy, and like that guy, like, or maybe it was this guy, I can't remember honestly. But like he wrote like comic books, and like here's one of the creations that he made.
Hey, it's She-Spawn.
It's not though, because she's a cop.
Oh, okay.
You know, she's a vigilante cop who takes, you know, justice into her own hands. It's like Spawn. It's like Image just in general. It's like
Marvel. It's Marvel. Punisher. Yeah.
It's Punisher. It's Judge Dredd. It's all these things all at once, right? If you think we're not seeing her later on, 100% we're going to see her later on. But like, that John's traveling companions both know this character and have read them, and John's like, oh, comics. It just keeps getting worse. And he's like, and I don't want to start hearing if anybody thinks that like we're in some sort of meta fourth wall thing. We're not in a comic. If you think you're in the funny books, right? That'll come into play later on as like they start breaking panels and like it's interesting the way it's done. It's just a brilliant issue. It's brilliantly handled. John's frustration with comic books. It is just the type of like cheek and I don't know, like
irreverence.
Yeah, for irreverence and criticism of story, of books, of the writing process that I come to expect from Spurrier. It does not feel like it is in any sort of anger,
right,
or like it's like, like a secret hatred of the medium. It's just, this is who Spurrier is, and I really, really enjoy it. Like, you're not meant to like this guy, but it's not because he's a comic book writer or because he's like a writer.
Yeah,
You're meant to like this guy because of who he is, right? There's still like a revering of story within these pages, and it has been up till this issue, and I think beyond it, of course. Oh gosh, look at this. Dude. I wish you could see what I'm seeing. It's amazing. But at the end of this issue, what do we learn? Well, we learn that like they got the wrong guy. They picked up the wrong person.
Okay.
And we get the story, and I love it because it is really very much a classic American. I think of it as American. I'm sure there could be origins of it elsewhere because it's myth.
Yeah.
It's urban legend, right? But the idea is that like, you pick up a hitchhiker, right? And like the travelers, treat them with kindness and whatever. And when they turn around, like, he's gone. And I'm like, that's awesome. John's also gone.
Oh.
And I'm like, ooh, I'm excited. Love this. Absolutely love this book so much. This issue, like, Aaron Campbell came back with a full issue. Like, you're just strong. I don't think last time around that they did it to like necessarily like be like, oh, he couldn't keep up with it. There was a very good reason. Again, individual stories really responded to having the different artwork within them. Like, I was just thrilled to have him back, and I love this book.
Nice.
I love this book. I'm sorry.
Yay. Why are you sorry?
Because I babble about this one. I realize because like of how this is the kind of book that like, there are a lot of books I read this week that I loved and I really enjoyed, but this for some reason is the type of book that like will ignite a passion for me and remind me about why I like comics. You know what I mean? Like I loved Helen of Wyndhorn this week. I thought it was like incredible. I had fun with Doctor Strange. Ultimate Spider-Man was so freaking good, right?
Yeah.
But like this like bleak human being in John Constantine, and the way that like the art is put together, the way that they play around with panels and different styles, and the way that Spurrier just puts word to page.
Yeah.
Just it excites me. And like I just get like giddy.
That's wonderful.
Anyway, moving on.
Doc says Buffy is one of my favorite series, and I want to read the books post-series. Is there a site where I could read them online or buy a physical copy? It's been hard to find.
I would check out in stock trades.
Yep.
See if there's like.
So I get a lot of my trades.
You get a lot of trades there, and they're often like anywhere between like 30-ish% off. I don't know which ones you're looking for in particular, but you might be able to find them there. Otherwise, I would just check Comixology.
Yep.
Kindle Comixology. If you have access to Amazon, you don't mind reading them digitally. You can read them from your browser. Again, we are not sponsored by those people. You can read them on your phone that way. But in theory, they should have all of them there.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's actually, some of them look like they might be cheaper than the digital versions of it, but check it out. Sometimes they've got random sales as well, but check out those two ways to get them legally.
Bryce Harriet, hello. Hope you're having a wonderful day. You too, Bryce. Thanks very much. Gavin S, super random. Finally read Batman Ego because of your episode. Immediately a favorite. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah, Batman Ego is fantastic. Great book. John Ty, thoughts on Kelly Thompson writing for Wonder Woman, Jason Aaron writing for Superman, and Scott Snyder writing for Batman in the new Absolute DC line. That's all conjecture. That's all alleged. There's no official word on that. That is a rumor that's from Bleeding Cool. It is not Bible truth. One should not be just dogmatically following what some rando on the internet says about what they heard or think they heard or said they heard. And even if it is true, maybe it sucks that people leak that kind of shit right away. Kelly Thompson writing Wonder Woman's a good idea. Jason Aaron writing Superman, I guess I'd read. Scott Snyder writing Batman, I saw a lot of people bitching about for some reason, which was like weird to me. And I think it's just because of the internet, like everybody hates Amazing Spider-Man, but it's the #1 book every month. So what do I know? But when it comes to Scott Snyder writing Batman, it's like if they were to launch a Ultimate DC line, and if Scott Snyder was writing Batman, that would be the way to go. Like, that would be a smart move. That's what I would do if I were launching an Ultimate DC line. I'd be like, Scott, what do you got? Like, what new idea do you have for Batman? A completely fresh new take. Honestly, that was my pitch when he did Zero Year. I'm like, just make this Ultimate. And basically that's what New 52 was. It was just a new universe. But like, you know what I mean? It was just like that's a smart move. And I think that the sales would reflect that if it were true, which we don't know.
Yeah.
The infamous Mike Manhattan for Wells's finale. MJ and Paul should get married and move out of New York. Seriously, though, I wouldn't wish the writing job of Amazing Spider-Man on any writer. Yeah, it's a tough job, and it's an unenviable one. It's a shit job, and you know, even if you did the best job, you will still have what looks like 80% of the readership threatening you physically on the internet.
Right.
And which is just insane. Like, I'm constantly baffled by the amount of people who claim to be fans of Superman or Spider-Man who espouse feelings and attitudes that would make them ashamed of you.
Yeah.
IB10, hey guys, been on a back issues binge lately, and I gotta ask when we get a Sal fart compilation, as in every time Sal yells fart, I think those have made me laugh more than actual fart compilations. Thank you. Yeah, I've actually thought about that. Not that I've thought about getting it, but more like I've been hoping that someone would put that together. But yeah, I actually noticed recently I don't do it as much, and I'm like, no, I should definitely do that. That's my like reaction to things where I'm like, that's like derivative or whatever. But thank you. I'm glad you dig it. Alex Sanchez, it's Hollywood, kid. Your name will be Rock Hudson. See? Yeah. That's where these names come from.
Yeah.
But they also come from like, the kids are going to go gaga for you. We're going to call you Lady Gaga.
Yeah, that is so...
I hate it so much. Like, I hate her name. I'm like, I don't know Lady Gaga's real name. Like, her stage name when she's duetting with friggin' Tony Bennett and stuff. But I'm like, I need to learn it so I don't call her that ever again, because like I was mad that the universe made me learn it, and it sucks because she's also really talented. But yeah, but there's just the concept. I'm like, this is a terrible name. It's horribly derivative. It's old. Like, it's antiquated. It's so emblematic of the problem that we're joking about, which is like some geriatric rich person in a office with ivory is telling someone that like your name is unmarketable, and so it should reflect something that I think of. This is actually really funny. Like, I know we're going along. Did you order the dinner, by the way?
I did. It's gonna be here shortly. Like it should be here soon.
Hooray. But I remember watching this thing. I think it was like Taylor Swift talking to like her manager or something like that. And her manager's like, well, you know, Bob Hope didn't do that. And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about, man?
Who the hell cares?
Like, I'm Taylor Swift. There couldn't be any further differentiation between Bob Hope and me.
Yeah,
why are we taking our P's and Q's? Why am I invoking the term P's and Q's like that? I'm young. I'm new. Why are we talking about this? And I'm like, that's so like funny. And it represents that so much. It's like Lady Gaga and like being like, hey, Bob Hope didn't do that on the tour, and you shouldn't do that as Taylor Swift. Like, it's just
get out
insane. Just people being like, I'm not irrelevant.
Yeah, it's, you know what it is? It's like, that's the problem right there, right? Because it's like, there are things to be learned from those who came before you. That's why teaching works, or why being an apprentice of anything works, because you get to learn from the mistakes of those who came beforehand.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't not listen to people who are older, but
it's like
older people, you don't know.
Respect your elders. Don't revere them.
Yeah. There's a difference. But like older folk, listen to them too. They know what they're talking about sometimes. Like, they bring something new to the party. Like, God,
absolutely.
Everybody stop.
Dex Baker for the camera. Thank you very much. And because no screen door can contain Ripley. It's true.
Thank you. It was like, I'm really, because everything turned out, I'm like, I'm like, ha ha ha, it's fine. And inside I'm like,
yeah, but it wasn't funny.
It was not funny. Nothing was funny.
Tom Weinberg, suit looks great. Love the colors. Also reading DeFalco's Fantastic Four right now. Thought I'd hate it, but quite liking it. Yeah, that's the thing. I don't like DeFalco's writing most of the time, particularly for Fantastic Four. But you can't deny that like a ton of stuff happens in all those books, and it isn't nearly as frustrating as anything that happened in an Avengers book during that time. Juan Alo has a super sticker. Thank you very much for your adorable pear man doing some workouts. Appreciate it, man.
This is number one fan.
Number one fan. Thank you, so Juan. Cute. Cat Laird fan for treats. Sal is like a gunslinger of metaphors. Love it. I'm supported by a system of fluid filled metaphor filled bladders. That's all I am. Pelores, hi ComicPop. Did you hear about the upcoming Plastic Man Black Label book? I'm excited to read it because it's been a long time since Plastic Man had a book. It's true, and I think it's like, yeah, that's the pitch. Plastic Man's losing control of his powers. Okay. Yep. And it's funny, when I first read it, I think I was reading it in like some weird article that was like, Plastic Man is a new book, his powers are going away. And then it's like, it's a Black Label book. And I was like, oh, I went from like, ugh, I hate that idea to, oh yeah, no, I'll buy that. Because it's like, oh, it's a Black Label book. Yeah, that's fine. That's cool. And it's a smart move because it's like, yeah, you got to get it. How many volumes of Plastic Man are there on any shelves? The answer is 0. Get a book out there.
So, I'm not a big Plastic Man
fan. Yeah.
At all. Have they done? Like, obviously, they clearly have probably done books before where he's losing his powers, he can't control, and he's melting. Right? I'm sure.
I've never read one.
Has there been the opposite of that?
Like what?
He can't stretch as much. He's becoming more like
more human.
Or like every time he stretches, he becomes more and more rigid to the point where maybe he will eventually not be able to move, be trapped in his own body.
Oh, I don't think so.
Is like living prison.
I assume not. I think most people who write or want to see Plastic Man want to see Plastic Man having total control of his powers.
Okay, well, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
You know, if like
no, Cy Spurrier's never written a Plastic Man. LJ, do you think Marvel highlighting some books for the Fantastic Four film is beginning of them spotlighting comics more? I sure hope so. I think it's a smart move.
Yeah.
Dylan Hall, please try Immortal Sergeant. I read it both that and I Kill Giants for the first time. Sergeant may be better. I promise it's worth it. It may be better for you. I'm glad that you enjoyed it, but people have different interpretations of literature. And the
connections we have,
to them.
Sometimes it's for specific reasons that we don't share with the rest of the world.
Tevia, why does Marvel editorial want Amazing Spider-Man to fail? As far as I'm concerned, they don't, and they're not. Amazing Spider-Man's the #1 book every month, unless Ultimate Spider-Man comes out, in which case it crushes that effing book. Which is, and again, I'm not going to get into it. I did read Amazing Spider-Man 52. It's unreadable. Batman #149 is out from Chip Zdarsky and Steve Lieber and Michelle Bandy. And
I'm sorry, every time we see Chip Zdarsky's little face.
I know.
It's just so epic.
He's like, hey. It's ridiculous. So this issue is like the kind of fallout of the whole Zur-En-Arrh failsafe arc, even though they're going to reuse failsafe later in the Absolute Power story. But try not to think about that, because that's what this is. This is a conclusion. But I suddenly got the theme. I was like, oh my God, this whole effing book has been about Batman versus himself. I know that like Batman's fought the worst impulses of himself in the form of Zur-En-Arrh. I know that Batman was fighting the worst impulses of himself in the form of failsafe, and now literally he has to deal with himself physically, like a physical clone of himself in this issue and in the last issue, but more importantly in this one. And I'm like, oh my God. Has Chip been doing man versus machine, man versus environment, man versus self? Like has he been doing the man versus arcs?
But it's only the same way.
Yeah. Well,
it's all himself.
It is all himself. But through that, we are also doing all of the...
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
It's like an onion of storytelling.
Yes, it's about story. But yeah, I caught myself being hypocritical by being like, Batman having a clone is terrible and it sucks and it's like makes me angry. And then it's like Batman literally fell through the multiverse and made a suit comprised of different multiversal versions of Batman, including a robot hand that the Batman of Dark Knight Returns made for him. At what point is it going to be too silly? Oh, right. No. And they did, and they kill it. Because I was like, what are you going to do with this clone? You get a Batman running around. It's like a 13-year-old. It's insane. It's like, no. He's in 2 issues. He's made as a... And then the idea is that, like, failsafe for Zur-En-Arrh is like, no, I'm just going to keep making clones. I don't want you getting too smart. You have accelerated growth. You become a Robin. I use you for a little while. You eventually die. And then I replace you with another clone.
Until one of them gets away.
Yeah, but then he's going to die anyway. He's got a built-in aging system.
Oh, it's going to be, and becomes an evil Morty.
Right, yeah. But that evil Morty will die of, old age by day 3, so it doesn't matter. But this is, it's Batman fighting himself, or Batman dealing with himself. And it's actually kind of weird because, like, Batman is more honest and open with himself than he is with anyone else in the family, which of course, like, yep, that's who he is. But it's like really weird to see him talking to, like, he's babying himself. Like there's this young boy that is himself, and he's like, oh, I'm scared. He's like, it's gonna be okay. Like, I'm gonna take care of you. Like, it's just like, I guess it's Batman trying to save himself, and it's all theme, but also it's literally happening too, and like I can't fault Chip for wanting to do that. You know, like he's like, I want it to be about something, and also there's going to be evil robots, psychosomatic monsters, and clones. You know, it's like there's going to be all the things you expect from high-flying, ridiculous superheroic comic books. And if Batman can't handle it, what book could? Spider-Man. But like, this was a book where essentially you just watch Batman watch himself die, but not before being like, you having a robot hand is dumb. I'm going to cut my own hand off and you can just put it on your body. Bye. And then he dies. And I'm like, of course. Like the second they were like, oh, he's going to die. I'm like, oh, he's going to cut his own hand off. And of course he does. And he gets his own hand back. And I'm like, actually what I thought was going to happen was he was going to like, well, it doesn't matter, but it's a story about Batman facing himself and seeing, you know, the truth and the possibility and the regret and all that stuff. And yeah, you know what?
It's still going, but I want to still be Batman. It's
but
fine.
But I still want to be Batman.
I'm gonna be Batman.
All right, you know what? Whatever.
You know what's the best job ever?
Yeah, being Batman. Yeah, right. Doesn't the hand rapidly age? No, he cut it off and they put it in suspended animation, so it's fine.
No, but like,
but doesn't it have like the inherent recombinant DNA that makes it do it? Yeah, but whatever, we fixed it. I can fix it on a hand, but on a person, I don't know. Who cares? But I
care.
What matters is
Ethan would care.
Oh, he'd be very upset. But yeah,
a really old hand.
Yeah, he should, and then he can replace it with a robot.
It's gonna be like a monkey's paw of a hand. You can make wishes on it.
Right? I mean, yes. I'm sure if I demanded answers from Chip, you'd be like, oh fuck. But as it stands, you know, I didn't hate it. I really thought I was going to. Like I read, I'm like, oh. But by the end of it, I'm like, yeah, all right. You know what? Yeah, we're not like breaking new ground. We're not telling new, like, you know, I'm not like, oh, I've learned so much. But it wasn't like egregious. You know, it wasn't like Amazing Spider-Man.
Okay.
Which is genuinely like an unreadable book. Like it is. I've read a lot of Spider-Man. You know, and that book.
I've read a lot of Spider-Man.
I've read every issue of Amazing Spider-Man in my life, and every issue of Spectacular Spider-Man, and every issue of Web of Spider-Man. I've read every Spider-Man, and this book sucks.
Right. Didn't you mention that Bruce is also rich again?
Oh yeah, he is. Failsafe or whatever. Zernar like moved a bunch of money around. Now he's rich again. I'm like, oh, did you fix everything? Is there a clone Alfred in there too? No. But also he could get the manor back, but he chooses not to, and instead he's going to build a new manor that's closer to the city. And I'm like, oh. Not that I don't appreciate. I understand.
What about a new manor?
Right, that's it.
Well, because that way they can go home to the old manor one day.
Yeah, one day.
Clap their hands and.
I mean, I almost did. I was like, oh, the money's back. He's gonna get the manor back, but like, because Vandal Savage is commissioner of Gotham, and I'm like, this is such a arbitrary and trite idea that it could actually be done away with in another book.
Right,
like Joshua Williamson could have it like undone in his Superman House of Brainiac story, and like no one would care.
So like I think we've talked about this before, but like obviously there are people who want Alfred to come back, people who don't care necessarily, right? But it's like for me, like here's like a solution I have to that like I think only I and like 5 other people would be like totally down for. But obviously Bruce needs to talk to John.
Yeah, Constantine.
Yeah, and be like, I don't want to know how you do it.
Right, but yeah, I don't want to know anything about it. I just know his name's Alfred Pennyworth. Here's some DNA. Go get him back.
Yeah, go do it.
Get him.
And I'm not going to be part of your magic adventure, even though I definitely am.
No,
it's just how much I hate it.
That would be an amazing sequence of him being like, "I'll owe you a favor."
John would he would skip into hell.
Yeah,
for that one,
right?
I feel like.
Yeah, I'm tired of this.
Not that Alfred's in hell.
No.
just assume whatever.
No, it's just the journey would be amazing.
He has to go down there.
Yeah.
For something.
No. Well, the trick would be that, no, you do. You don't even have John do it. He offers him a favor. John shakes his hand, and then Batman immediately is transported into hell, and he has to like do all these things. He has to go through all the shit that John would do, but as Batman.
Yeah, it's like Batman going through Dante's Circles of Hell.
Yes. That's the book.
It's a good book.
Oops. You just gave it away. But yeah, anyway.
That's a great book.
Yeah. Right?
That's a great Black Label book.
That's a great Black Label book that can also be in continuity. I also read Wonder Woman 10. I don't know if you read Wonder Woman 10.
I completely forgot it was out, and that was not on your things that you're like, hey, don't forget to read this.
That's okay. Tom King, Daniel St. Pierre, Wonder Woman 10. Wonder Woman fights Cheetah. The girls try to fly the invisible jet, and it's impossible.
Well, I mean, I think that's fair.
Yeah, that's the joke.
For like a number of reasons. Like, hey, have you ever flown a jet?
Right? Have you ever flown an invisible one that you have no control over? You can't see the controls.
I think first question, have you flown a jet? If the answer is no, this will not be easier.
There's actually like a funny moment between like Cassie and the girls where she's like flying and like she's in an invisible jet. She looks down, she sees she's 40, she's like tens of thousands of feet in the air. And they're like, you can fly. She's like, I fly like 100 feet in the air. Like I don't fly 40,000 feet. This is scary. And it's just like, yeah, that's really cool. The art's fantastic. Daniel St. Pierre, of course, does amazing work. There's a sequence where like Yara Flor is like sitting on an invisible chair flying in the middle of the sky. And it's like he just drew a person sitting on nothing. You know what I mean? Just a little moment of like, nice. But yeah, otherwise, Wonder Woman fights Cheetah on an island because the government or the king or whatever sends her there, and because they tortured her, or they starved her, and then they sicked her on Wonder Woman, and they fight for a little while, and then they're friends. And the idea is that like Wonder Woman actually let herself get kidnapped all the way back in like 2 issues ago
to get Cheetah.
Oh yeah, it's like okay, that's fun. This is a good book. If you don't like it, you're not gonna like it now. So I saw a lot of pages of this book. People were like, "Fah!" And I'm like, boy, I'm glad that Tom King can be the straw man for you. I'm glad that he could be the one person that you could put a name on and you could yell at the comic book industry for.
You know what I love about that though is that like people like him. And honestly, like Zeb Wells,
they
live in your brains, everybody.
Right?
You just let them have power over you.
Right? And they don't even want it, but
they don't want it.
They don't want it.
They're not looking for it.
Well, the thing is, they don't even know. They don't know they're there.
They just, they have no idea. Like, what?
Yeah.
Oh.
Right?
What?
Sphere mode. Sal, you were absolutely correct that Chip was going to put almost everything that was destroyed back. You have incredible reading comprehension. Well, thank you. I mean, it feels like it. It felt like the whole book was about that. It was just like, let me just put it all back and make it all better. And then they were like, no. I don't know if that's true. I've talked to Chip before, but not about that. I deliberately, I actually don't ask them questions about stuff like this so that it doesn't accidentally come up.
Right.
And so that I can plausibly say I didn't talk about it.
Right.
Amazing Ultimate Spider-Man number 6, the best Spider-Man book out there right now. Jonathan Hickman, Marco Cicchetto. Spider-Man and the Green Goblin fight the Kingpin, and then Spider-Man has a conversation with his family. That's what happens in this book. Cicchetto's art is fantastic.
Yeah.
Glad he came back. He needed that time off to draw this awesome book. There are 2 spectacular sequences in this book. The first of which is this cover. I just love this cover.
I like this cover too, and it's not really a lie.
It's not a lie.
I mean, a little bit of it.
I mean, a little bit, yeah.
But
it's awesome.
This happens, kind of.
Yeah, you got a lot of like depth, and you got a lot of detail, but you got a lot of action. And it tells the whole story. And of course, the last panel was also fantastic.
Of course.
But yeah, so Pete and Harry are gonna fight the Kingpin, and there's this cute scene where like we find Pete reveals Harry's nickname to him. He's like, "You're a Green Goblin," and he's like, "What?"
He's like, "Says who?"
That's what everybody's calling you. And he's like, "Oh, I feel like I should be able to say that. I should be able to pick it." And they're like, "Well, what would you pick?" He's like, "I don't know. I kind of like Green Goblin."
I like that too because it's like in that situation, that's typically what happens.
Yeah.
But I don't have anything better.
Yes.
Damn it.
Right? Oh, I forgot. There's also a Kite Man story at the end of the Wonder Woman book.
Hell yeah.
So,
You're welcome.
Pete and Harry go to fight the Kingpin. It's also cute because Pete's like, I've literally never broken a law before. Now we're going to break into this man's house and attack him.
This is like literally, I am Peter Parker. In any moment I'm with Sal and Ben, I am Peter Parker.
Yeah.
I've never done anything.
I've never done this.
And you're like, no, come on.
That's going to be great. I've done it a million times. So they fight and it doesn't go their way. And Pete gets the living shit kicked out of him, and he's like, and he has to face his family. That's actually the book opens with him.
He's like, I fell down.
And they're like, no, you didn't. and this is a moment where I was like, I thought I knew where the book was going.
Yeah.
And I've been talking about it forever.
Yeah.
And it isn't it isn't the reveal that I thought it was.
Right.
But I still got the result I wanted. I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So Peter's like having breakfast with his family, and they're like, what the hell's happening with your face?
Yeah.
And he's like, I fell down. And they're like, no, you didn't. What is it? And he's like, I'm Spider-Man. He doesn't say Spider-Man. He's like, I'm a superhero. Actually, his daughter gives it away, but like
she panics.
She panics because she's so upset. Yeah, she's like,
I knew you were gonna get hurt.
I thought it was gonna be fun, you being like a superhero, but it's scary to see my dad's face all mangled like that.
Yeah.
It's like, don't make it real. But yeah, so he tells his kid and his wife like what happened. He literally tells them the story of the issue you read, which is like me and like Harry went to go kill a man, I guess, or whatever, beat the hell out of him, and he beat the hell out of us instead.
But I love it.
But it was awesome, and I had a great time.
Stop bad people.
Yeah, and that's my job. And Mary Jane's like, okay, everybody, all the kids get out of here. And he's like, hey, so how divorced am I? And she's like, it's fine. Yeah. And I'm like, I appreciate it. She is so understanding and so appreciative. Like,
no, she is not. She is, but she is not like everything's hunky-dory and fine. She's like, there's a lot.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack, but at the end of the day, the reason you're doing it.
I'm more proud of you than anything else. But she's like, I'm proud and I'm this, and there's a whole bunch of other things too.
Yes, but I still maintain, and maybe that's just me growing as a person. But I still maintain it would have been more fun and more nutritional for the audience if the reveal was the first person I told was my wife.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think yes, but Peter didn't go out of his way to tell his daughter. His daughter found out.
Well, that's the thing. Like, so his daughter, but that's the fun that you have as a reader. You get to watch someone find out that matters. You get to think there's a secret. You get to live in that secret. You get to have these cute moments between him and his daughter.
Right. But in a way, it is the first person he told.
Yes.
Like he told. Harry already knew.
Right. Harry found out.
Yeah. Harry found out.
His daughter found out.
Like, his son and his wife are the first person he said out loud.
Right, but I mean, like when he got off the roof after turning on the getting bit, he should have gone downstairs.
I get it, but like I appreciate it. Like you want it from the like Harry or the Peter Parker growth. Like you want it from his perspective. I like it from the MJ growth of like they're making her a real person.
Yes.
Who's like, obviously, like Peter isn't just with her because her name is Mary Jane. He's with her because of the person she is, and the person she is someone who's like, I have a lot of thoughts on this, but at the end of the day, like I'm really proud of you and I love you and I get you were trying to keep us safe. Like immediately in that conversation, she's like, okay, how in trouble are we? Like what's going to happen here? Like, okay.
Exactly.
Like 100%. Like I love that as like Hickman going like, this is why Peter's with her. It's because she's a person.
Right.
Like, and in a comic book universe.
Well, because I'm constantly made aware in this book of the fact that these are not the characters that I know and love. And we are getting there, but they are there artificially for a number of reasons. One, they're artificial characters. Two, the maker made them this way artificially in the beginning. Three, Iron Lad made them artificially like that after the fact. Like these are not the characters that I know and love. They may in fact even genetically be in their own universe, but they're not because they've had living experiences that completely alter their directional course, and I give them that much depth and agency because Hickman's writing it. I know he thought about it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's tough because I love this book and I think it's great, but I love it because it's well written and well drawn.
Yes.
Not because it's giving me what I've been asking for.
No, that's exactly it. Because, and I say that because it's like, yes, I am like married to a person who's a huge Spider-Man fan and I want him to have the things that he wants and I want him to get joy out of it. But I'm also reading this book and I have read a bunch of Amazing Spider-Man. I've read all of Ultimate Spider-Man. Like I've read like the stuff that means something to Sal because I want to get him, right? Sure. I want to get what like his favorite character. So I want to read the best parts of it, right? And reading this, like I would read this regardless because it's just a good story. I'm just enjoying this story, right? But like I know that you really wanted Peter to be like, I'm going to do this. I love the fact that he didn't because he was like trying to figure out how to keep them safe. Like that's his priority. That is very
relatable and interesting.
Yeah, like it's not that he's like because he doesn't know what he's doing. This isn't a Peter Parker who's been like who's been
Spider-Man for 20 years.
Yeah, and then has to make a decision about whether or not he's going to tell this person who's in his life now. This is a Peter Parker who's like, there are no heroes. What do I do with
there isn't even in America.
Yeah, like I completely love that he was like, I have to keep this to myself. Crap, my daughter found out.
Yep.
Crap, this guy knows. Okay. I got beat up first time out.
Right. But I also love that the first thing he said, like he didn't make it up.
Yeah.
Like he gave a deliberately bad excuse because he knew it wasn't going to hold. But I also love that he like You know what I mean? Like that he was immediately honest with everybody.
Yeah, he was like, I'm not gonna
lie to my
I may not
family.
have told you the truth, but I'm not gonna lie to your face.
Yeah, yeah. Especially in the face of demonstrable obviousness. Like
yes.
but yeah, so it's I mean, and then they swing around the city like everyone's always wanted, and
Yeah.
that variant artists still draw covers up for some reason.
Yeah.
And you know, it's a good book. It's a fun series,
It's a great
but it also
series.
makes you ask these questions and pursue these you know, these concepts. Like I think that's what it, you know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah.
the book is definitely making you ask these questions, for me at least. Like I'm like,
it's like each issue, even if it's like obviously we've been wanting to see Peter and Mary Jane dealing with this, like it's something we've all been waiting for that to occur. Each issue, even if it hasn't been around them, like there have been issues where like Spider-Man hasn't even shown up, but like the characters are well written and you so don't know who they are and what they're going to do that it is really engaging. Like when it's just Jonah and Ben,
I'll read that.
I'm like, I want to know.
I'll
more.
read a whole
I can't
issue
wait
of that
for them to come back. Where are they?
Yeah,
you know, Harry
and Gwen. Those
I'm
are
like,
interesting characters. I want to see what kind of person Gwen is. I want to see. It's like, okay, because the other thing is like Gwen makes Harry into a domestic terrorist, or at the very least is encouraging him to be that way. Mary Jane is supportive of her husband's altruism.
Yeah. Like she's proud of him, not because he's strong and faster, although she's thinking about other things later on.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But like, she is like, I trust your judgment.
Yeah.
And I want you to be the best version of you, not to be a weapon that I want to see you do my like morality for.
Yeah.
And so I think that like Hickman is thinking about the differences between Gwen and Mary Jane.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is why people like, maybe not even meta, like not like, well, generationally, this is why people like Mary Jane. It's like because he was his wife when you were born, like you grew up with. No, this is why Peter is with Mary Jane, or why you like it. Because if he was with Gwen, it would not have worked. Or she would have become a different person. Or this is how we explore the differences in those relationships.
Yep.
Like all that's in the DNA of this book, which makes it very interesting.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, cool.
100%.
So yeah. Let's see here. The infamous Mike Manhattan. Have you seen Bad Boys Ride or Die? I heard the directors would like to direct Spider-Man, although I think they'd be perfect for Transformers. I did not. I haven't seen any Bad Boys movie. I'm sorry. But I especially didn't see Ride or Die because I haven't seen the other ones.
You haven't seen Bad Boys 2?
I have not seen Bad Boys 2. But yeah, no, I have not. But
extra points if you know what we're referencing.
Yeah. But I mean, look, I don't know who wants to take over Spider-Man 4. Whoever it is, they better be able to push to keep it grounded and not have other Spider-Man in it. John Ty, it feels very recently a lot of comic book fans don't like melodrama in superhero stories, where anytime that shows up, fans get upset that any type of character drama is happening. It could be a variety of things. It could be that that's your interpretation of what's happening. It could also be that that is what's happening, and the reasons are thusly. They could be because media literacy is in the toilet right now. It could be that the fact that superhero comics are inherently melodramatic because it's all about, like, they're not heroes, they're superheroes. They're not drama, it's melodrama. Like, it has to be exaggerated. Melodrama is inherent in superhero comics. It is bread and butter. It's why most superhero comics today that lack melodrama feel like they're missing a key element. But also, melodrama is addictive / frustrating. You know, it's the reason why your grandma throws your grandpa's ashes at the TV when, you know, when like Days of Our Lives doesn't go the way she wants. You know, she's like, this is horrible. But also tunes in every week, like, because that's her stories. And those stories, characters are going to behave outlandishly. They're going to make decisions you don't agree with. And it's going to make you, if you are invested, if you are like addicted to their story, you know, you're going to react viscerally, you know, and that is, you're going to react to it in different ways. You know, back in the day, she might have thrown grandpa's ashes at the TV. Maybe now today, she might just make a TikTok account where she bitches endlessly about the Days of Our Lives and what goes on with it. But anyway, it could, and there's also the other elephant in the room, which is that maybe that's how it looks because you're online, and in reality, most people actually don't care. Because that's another problem, is that, like, it's the Amazing Spider-Man sales angle. And I don't like to bring it up all the time. I know I do, but the reason why I do is because it bears repeating, and it's a point to be made, which is like, the book sells even though supposedly everyone hates it.
Mm-hmm.
No, they're not not every single Spider-Man reader is going, thank you. Like, it puts it into a long box because I'm a psycho and I need to buy every issue, but I don't read them anymore. It's people are reading it and they're enjoying it, and they're also unplugged from the ongoing conversation, so they don't even know not to like it, or they don't even know that people don't like it,
or they don't know that they're not liking it because they're just reading it to read it.
Right? They're just reading it, or they're just this is what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a good point. Hayden Hamilton, the last All Stars was stellar. Great info. Thanks. Hey, thank you very much. There's a great show on this channel called All Stars. Me and Joshua Williamson, writer of Dark Crisis, hang out every month and talk. The most recent episode is 2 hours long, which only means that he and I talked for 4.5 hours that day, because every episode that you watch is 1 hour out of 4 that he and I are talking, either before or after we record the show.
It's nice. You guys get to just chat.
It's true. Well, we don't hang out, and we're on opposite sides of the country, so like we don't get to talk.
It's not like about like all inside stuff. It's just hanging out.
No, we're just two nerds chatting it up.
Being nerds. I love it.
Yeah. Check out that show. The friendship, I dare to say, is inherent in the show.
Well, the friendship is magic.
The friendship is magic, as is the case. Talking about the book of the week, I think it's got to be for me Ultimate Spider-Man. Ultimate Spider-Man was for me my favorite issue that I read, but you've got a real tough decision on your hands.
This is a rough. Why?
Yeah, why do you put these books out on the same week?
What is happening? It had to just be like 1 week, 2 week, 3 week. Come on, because Ultimate Spider-Man was amazing.
Yeah,
it was more amazing than Amazing Spider-Man. And Helen of Wyndhorn was spectacular. I mean, just absolutely gorgeous. But I think after my reaction and chatting about Hellblazer number 6, Dead in America number 6, I think it has to be that. I loved the other 2 books I read. I liked all the books I read this week. But none of them gave me that reaction.
Yes.
So it has to be Hellblazer Dead
Hellblazer
in America.
edged out Helen of Wyndhorn. Yeah. Hellblazer Dead in America number 6 won the Helen of Wyndhorn Award for Best Book of the Week. Nice. I'm glad to hear it. Pop Culture Guy 3000 got my ROM Omnibus Volume 2 last week. Read 12 issues in 2 days. Love it. I especially loved how he starts talking like a chivalrous Arthurian knight shortly before going to the UK. It's true.
It's awesome.
Rom, the Space Knight, a character I have a very big blind spot for. Recommending comics that come out this week that we think you should check out. Superior Spider-Man number 8. This is the end of the series, but I'm sure it'll dovetail in another book, or Dan Slott will take over Amazing after Zeb Wells leaves, and then it'll just be the book. But Superior Spider-Man number 8, the character who never showed up in the book, but it's named after him. Yay. I'm going to try out Rook Exodus number 3 and Redcoat number 3. I read those first issues. I skipped the second issues because I just forgot. That's how easy it is. Mm-mm. But those books look really good, and someone cares about them, so let's give them a try. Absolute Power Ground Zero number 1 is coming out from everybody like Mark Waid, Chip Zdarsky, Gleb Melenkov, Joshua Williamson, Nicole Maines, Dan Mora, Skylar Partridge.
I don't understand this Terminator look.
Yeah. Oh, I know. The thumbnail, the logo and title font.
Well, it's just that there's like they're literally doing a metallic shine thing. Like,
I know.
It is so
I guess
old.
Failsafe. Yeah, it looks old.
It's nuts. Like this looks like they dug it up out of like from the past.
Yeah, it's why it looks terrible even against the DC logo, which in and of itself is an homage to the logo from the 70s. Like, it just looks old. I don't get it. I don't like it, and I hope
there's also like so much like emphasis on the vertical in this. It makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's weird. It's
anyway,
weird. But I'm gonna buy it. Spectacular Spider-Man number 4. Yay! This is a fun series, worth reading. Blood Hunt number 4. Obviously, we're gonna pick up Blood Hunt.
I'm definitely picking that up.
Action Comics 1066 and Superman number 15, continuing the House of Brainiac.
You've got a big week next
crossover series, and of course Green Arrow number 13.
I didn't look at anything ahead of time. So let's do this together. Yeah. Let's do it live, everybody. Oh, I'm on the wrong week. I can't. I'm going to recommend books that came out last week.
No.
It's just a shout out. If you're not checking out the Detective Comics covers,
these books,
so
Detective
gorgeous.
Comics has looked amazing. And one day I will read all of it again.
I'll probably read it.
You'll, I'm sure, enjoy it.
Is it this one?
Yeah.
Look at that.
Look at that cover. Yeah. Yeah. If nothing else, after Rom leaves, keep the covers.
Gorgeous. So good. Ultimate Black Panther #5. If you didn't say it already, I don't know.
I
if
did
you
not.
It's coming out this week. Definitely picking that up. Really liking where that series is going. Flash #10. Love that book.
I know you do.
Vengeance of the Moon Knight of the Moon Knight. I was right.
You did.
I tripped myself up. #6 is coming out. It's gonna be a tie-in, but listen, it will be a tie-in as much as Jed McKay is writing it. Vampires will be involved, but you know it's going to continue to the story of what's going on in Moon Knight. So you're going to definitely want to pick that up.
Yeah.
Don't forget, of course, with Blood Hunt, you can also pick up the Red Band edition, where some things will be slightly different if that's what you're looking for.
And you can pay more for it.
Yes. I was like, can you?
Oh, I forgot Penguin #11 is coming out. Yay.
If you're looking for some additional Blood Hunt books, supplements, again, Moon Knight will be coming out. That'll be a tie-in. Magic Blood Hunt #1. I don't know if it's a one-shot or what. It is coming out.
Yep.
So it's up to you if you want to check that out. If you're just like, I need more vampires in my life.
Yeah. More Blood Hunt, please.
More Blood Hunt for me. Midnight Suns Blood Hunt #2 will also be coming out, so you can check that out. Hellverine #2 is coming out. I forgot I read that first issue, so I'm gonna have to read the second issue, I suppose, of that. So that'll be something else I'm picking up to talk to you all about, because that was a fun little surprise at the end of the last issue for sure.
Yeah,
but a welcome one.
How dare you?
Yeah, I think we're good there. Oh, Zatanna Bringing Down the House #1 is coming out. I'll definitely be checking that out. Mariko Tamaki, Javier Rodriguez.
A Black Label Zatanna book.
Yeah.
Neat.
I'll check it out. Why not?
Why not? Indeed.
Why not? Let's see what's happening.
Exactly.
It looks like it's the standard comic book size as opposed to the big, nice, wide one.
Crap, who was I talking to about that? Where we were talking about Black Labels, and I was like,
why would they do the oversized anymore?
Well, and they were like, and whoever I was working with was like, I don't like it. I don't like doing the big ones.
And that's understandable. If you're a comic book artist who's been doing it for a while, you know, like it's already in the back. It's like secondhand. You know how to break the grid or like break your page layouts because you know what they should be. If you have to sit there and look at something brand new, it's like I don't know how to make this fun or engaging because I'm not used to working with this. I get that. I get that. But I like it.
Joe Haas, would you say the MCU is having trouble because they've lost a lot of the melodrama? It's possible. It's possible. I mean, like, what is melodrama if not Captain America like stealing Pym particles and then like throwing away being Captain America to have sex with Peggy? Like that's high melodrama.
It is.
Like, and it works, people. Them hugging and kissing and them hugging and dancing at the end of that, at the end of all things. The whole guy's like, oh, like it works. I love you 3000. That little girl said that one time.
Yeah.
Can you imagine her watching that? Like when she's like 40 and she's like, I love you. Why does he keep saying that? It's like, oh, because of the madness that exited your mouth when you were a child. It didn't matter to you. For you, it was Tuesday. It's M. Bison all over again. John Ty, don't forget the new Black Label Zatanna book. We did not. So we want to thank you so much for watching. We want to thank you, our super chatters, for sponsoring today's show and helping us supplement some of our income because of that unexpected expense. Hey, listen, if you are going to be at San Diego Comic-Con, it looks like more likely Tiffany and I will also be at San Diego Comic-Con. So hopefully we'll keep you updated. We will keep you updated as we go. But thank you to our chatters for being cool and being respectful and being supportive in the chat. And of course, if you're watching the show after the fact or listening to it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or whatever, give us a 5-star rating. We would appreciate it. Or just check out the show and give us a like. And we'll see you guys next time with another episode here on ComicPop Returns. I'm Sal.
I'm Tiffany.
So long, everybody. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye.
Bye.